What are you trying to?
New, yep, New, pardon me for that. New Hampshire Motor Speedway is one of the more difficult tracks to get around in a NASCAR stock car, being as though it's two very long straightaways and a couple of very tight, flat corners. Today, we're in a different kind of NASCAR. It is one of the Whelen Modifieds, one of the lower series in the NASCAR ranks here for what will be round number 4 of the Major Series American Sportsman Division. I apologize, it's not the overlay it's supposed to be there for the Musket 250 at New Hampshire. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. And alongside me in the booth tonight is going to be Ryan Williams. And Ryan, you were here for the Daytona 500. That was an absolutely incredible race, a very fun
Mhm.
race to watch, a long night for a lot of us. But it was a great chance to see what these guys can do in an older car. We're in a modern car now around one of the more historical tracks for this series and a very historical race.
That we are. It will be a historical night here for the Majors series, but like you said, it was a long night at Daytona a couple of months ago. It's going to be a long night once again here for the Musket 250 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A 125 lap heat race and then another 125 lap feature event gets us to the grand total of 250 for the Musket 250. An event that's been run in real life for over just over 30 years, 31 years to be exact, began life as a 150 lap race and has now evolved into this 250 lap event that we're going to see here tonight. It's gonna be an interesting but long night, Frank. I know I've got my whole gallon of water. I'm ready to go. I hope you are as well.
Got a gallon of water. Those are rookie numbers, kid. You gotta bump those numbers up. We
That's right.
got a couple. We got 3 minutes left here in this practice session before we get into a 4 lap qualifying session, a 4 lap 5 minute qualifying session, and then, as Ryan mentioned, a 250 heat race, and then it will be a 125, pardon me, heat race, and then oh my goodness, a 125 main. It's been a long day, folks, getting ready for tonight's race. Looking through the field here, I know you weren't here for the race last month, which was the Long Beach Grand Prix, the
Mm-hmm.
1979 Long Beach Grand Prix. The man who you currently see on screen right now for high class racing, the 47 of Jacob Mink, won that race, won it in pretty convincing fashion, was one of the very few drivers to not put a wheel wrong on the tight confines of Long Beach Street Circuit, looking to try to recapture that glory that he had last month, pardon me.
You know, me being a circle track guy, I didn't feel that I quite met what it takes to commentate on a race at somewhere like Long Beach, and I still wouldn't be comfortable to this day to call anything on a road course for that matter. But I did catch the broadcast. It was a fantastic drive by Mr. Jacob Mink, and back here on an oval track, he's going to have a tough task to live up to the hype and go back to back. But right now, he's sitting decently pretty about mid-pack.
Sitting in the 11th position right now. Right now, the points leader as we sit in this season, just going into the 4th race of the season, the points leader going into tonight right now is his teammate at High Class Racing. Justin Garrick currently holds a 1-point lead over David Gargaro Jr. and Brian Halleck. Garrick with 57 points. Gargaro and Halleck both with 56. Chris Sherburne and Robert Gamble currently sitting with 53 points. So the top 5 separated by just 4 points, with those guys being tied. And with the small amount of points, that are given out to each winner every single week or given out to each racer every single week, that is going to ensure a very close championship battle all season long.
You look between the heck, all 5 or 6 series that we broadcast here on ESPN all have extremely tight points battles going into their latter halves and whatnot of the season. So that's a great testament to the caliber of series that we bring into broadcast here. And it also is a testament to the caliber of iRacing driver that these series are able to bring in. And here we go. It's now qualifying time. These drivers have 4 laps to get it done.
4 laps and 5 minutes to do those 4 laps in. And there is one of the Forge Racing entries. Greg McEnany in the 350 is going to be the first driver out on circuit. And one of the interesting things with these cars is, yes, these are NASCAR sanctioned cars, formerly the NASCAR Wheel and Modified series. The modifieds as a car have a very, very long history, where it was essentially when it started back in the 60s, 70s, these were cars that you can just bring them how you have them and race them. There were 2 series of modifieds. There were the bring whatever you have and race it, no matter how crazy or tame it is. And then there was a spec series. Everything has now fallen down into this spec series. But one of the things that has maintained from the years, these are no fendered cars. Now, those metal racks are there just to keep from accidentally riding up on one of your racers, one of your competitors' tires and possibly flinging yourself away. But those open wheels are going to present a very different challenge from anything we've seen in the American Sportsman division, at least, that we've seen all season.
That's exactly right. You could have a pretty good point there, but unfortunately for us, and probably very fortunately for the drivers here, there is no real tire pop model as per iRacing. So they'll get away with a little bit of rubbing and racing, but all in all, we're expecting a rather clean race here tonight, as some times are coming into the board.
Yeah, we're seeing Joey Haynes right now is, I guess we're going with the F3 graphics today. Joey Haynes, right now you're seeing him circulate this racetrack, currently sitting second place in the timing and scoring pylon as of right now, about to complete his 3rd lap on track. His best lap is a 30.42, and this lap will be a 30.56, so getting a little bit slower. The man who currently holds the lead right now is the pilot of the number 3, Brian Halleck.
That's exactly right. Brian Halleck, actually one of the names that I remember from the first broadcast that I did here with the Majors American Sportsman series. But other than that, a lot of new names for me. I mean, obviously I've seen the Osowski, Gomillion, Deloche, Milwain, but a lot of names that I haven't seen before, which could mean this series is expanding, could mean that I just have a terrible memory. Probably the second, but a lot of new guys that I haven't seen until tonight.
For those of you who are watching your first Major Series broadcast, or for those of you who feel as though you're broadcasting your first Major Series race, the American Sportsman division is made up of 2 different classes. This is the higher class. The lower class is next, and over the course of the week, they hold a qualifying to where they split the field up depending upon how they fare in that qualifying session. Obviously, the top goes into American Sportsman 1, which is what we're broadcasting right now, and the lower half go into Sportsman 2. So it is a cycle of drivers, as we see Brian Halleck set a new fastest lap in qualifying. It was a 30.35 for the number 3. And right now, Forge Racing currently having a very good run. As I promise you, that's Spencer Todd. The graphic will prove it to me. There he is. But yeah, as we come down with 42 seconds left, a lot of these guys are done. Chris Sherburne, the only other car on track, and as you can see, rather stationary. So it looks as though the group is set up right now with the final 30 seconds left.
Pretty much with everybody taking a time, it does look like this is how we are going to sit for the first. I'm going to call it half because I don't think that they're going to say it's a heat race. I'm going to call it a half of the gosh dang, the 250. Half of the first half of the 250. I'm not going to say heat race. You might say heat race, but I'm not going to. So we're going to say the first half of the 250. This will be your starting lineup. And then obviously they're going to roll off from the pit road for the second half in the same order that they finish here. I hope
that there is a little bit of a catch with that for the main. They are inverting the top 10 from what I've seen. So it looks as though if it is essentially what we're expecting, which is going to be essentially a first half 125, and then a second half 125. At the end of the first half, there is going to be a top 10 inversion from where they finished off. But as the cars begin to grid up and get ready for the pace laps here, we will take a look at who is starting where, and it is Brian Halleck for Forge Racing Sport Team 1 will be taking the pole here for tonight's Musket 250. Spencer Todd will make up row number 1. Joey Haynes and David Gargaro Jr. will make up row number 2. Ethan Osowski and Maurice Gamillion in row number 3. Row 4 will go to Robert Deloche and Ozzie Milwane. Michael Broomhead and Bryson Shute will make up row number 5. And Jacob Mink will sit next to the points leader, Justin Garrick, on row 6.
Starting off row 7th on the inside will be Nathan Medina in the 23. To his outside, you'll find Jason McSparron. Next row back in 15th finds Jeremy Morrison alongside Matt Gelder. 17th sees Daniel Davis. 18th, Greg McEnany. 19th, Gerard Gilbert. 20th, Brian Scribner. 21st, Rob Courtney. To his outside is Robert Covey. And then your last and final row on the racetrack will be the 322 of Stephen Pollison alongside the number 135 of Chris Sherburne.
So that is your starting lineup here, at least for the first half of this 125-lap quote-unquote heat race to see who will win round number 4 of this season. And this is our first short track of the year. We've seen 2 road courses. We've seen GT cars. We've seen legacy cars. We've seen 1 oval race. This is our first short track race of the year. And this is going to be a fantastic night for racing. Pace car is already off, and the Musket 250 is underway.
Halleck got off to a lightning quick jump there as soon as the iRacing pace truck got off of the racetrack. He leads Todd, Haynes, and Gargaro into the corner and off down the back straight away here, and we're fighting hard for position 5 on back.
And this is a very wide track for these cars. However, the turns a little bit narrow as far as the lines go, and you can see you are not going to be running down there on that yellow line all that much. This is a track that has a little bit of progressive banking to it. That middle lane is exactly where you want to be.
Still not quite enough progressive banking, as we see, I believe, a caution flying.
This caution is out.
Had a little bit to do with Robert Deloche, but I see mostly the 6 of Bryson Shute taking a turn into the wall.
Let's see, Bryson Shute, here he is, right center frame there in that number 6. We'll see what happened.
It's like a little bit of netcode contact.
Yep. Oh yeah, that was definitely.
Yeah, 100% netcode contact. So can't really throw harm on anybody there. We'll chalk it up as a racing incident, but 100% a netcode incident there between Deloche and the number 6 of Bryson Shute. So a tough break here very, very early into the first 125 lap segment of this race.
You can see it right there, just happening right off the side of your screen there. between Deloche and Shoot. We'll go and try to get you a little bit of a different angle there, a little bit higher, and yep, you can clearly see net code there. And again, even if that wasn't net code still, that's exactly why that roll bar is there, as we're on board with Robert Deloche in the 235. That's why that roll bar is there, those metal bars on the side of the car, just in case it's not like a Formula car to where you lock wheels and you end up having a big old accident. Just kind of something there just to kind of just nudge you off and knock you out of the way as if it were a full fender stock car.
Well, if you're still looking at the incident there, it did look like the 235 of Deloche, he was just trying to run a slightly different line than the number 6 of Shoot. Deloche tried to go up and cut down into the corner, and Shoot, really, he couldn't have gone any higher. Not exactly sure what happened there, but like you said, some net code gets involved, and around goes the 6, but the car still looks pretty undamaged, and he will be able to carry on.
Certainly does, and this is the first of what will be 4 combined events, all 3, the American Series, the European Series, and the International Series are all here running this Musket 250. Next month, there are going to be 2 races in the month of May. The Nürburgring 2.4 hours at the Nordschleife. The Indianapolis 500 will come up on the 16th, and then it's a month off, a legitimate month off, before we bring this series to Le Mans for the Le Mans 2.4, which after that, then we'll get a little bit of a split as the 3 different regions will run 3 different races. But for now, all are here as we get set to go back to green flag. Ryan, take us away.
I can do just that. It's Halleck still on the point. Spencer Todd is outside. You see those pretty blue race cars going to try and work together here off of the start. Pace car dips down off of the corner. The green flag's back in the air. It's Halleck, the first one to the line.
There's a big jumbled start there in the 6 of Bryson Shoot. Unfortunately, is once again the victim of that restart, and we'll take a look at it here in just a moment when everything gets sorted out. But boy, that looked like about 4 or 5 rows back on that restart. A lot of issues happening.
Started with, I believe, the 033 machine. 330.
Ethan Osowski in the 033.
Yes. That's exactly what started it there. Osowski was just a little bit limp to hit the gas pedal. Everybody else jumping up behind him, and then you saw that 6 of Shoot get into the back of, I believe it's the 31 of Justin Garrick, and gets punted from behind. Unfortunate again for that driver. He has had some tough luck here, and we're only a couple laps into this thing.
Yeah, only a couple laps into what would be 250 laps.
Exactly.
There's the 033 of Osowski running right there in the middle. He's that 3rd Forge Racing car. Well, there he is in the 033 as the number flashes by. Sitting between the 54 of Michael Broomhead and Ozzie Milwane, who was one of the Daytona 2.4 winners. I believe he was the overall 2.4 at Daytona winner, if I remember correctly.
Couldn't tell you.
You weren't there. No, you were not there for that one, so that one I wouldn't be surprised. I would have been more surprised if you knew that one.
Yeah, could have pulled the trick out of the bag, but I'm sure it was fun to watch, though.
I don't think you were with ESPN at that point.
Probably not. I've only been with ESPN now for 3 months, maybe 4 months.
Yeah, and I've been here for almost a year, and it doesn't even feel like that. It feels a lot shorter. So much great racing we've had on this network here recently. Time seems to float on by. That as these laps begin to float on by, seeing the top 4 have remained the same: Brian Halleck, Spencer Todd, Joey Haynes, and David Gargaro Jr. Now, Gargaro Ryan, I know you would remember this one, was a big threat in the 1987 Daytona 500 that we ran for round number 2 of the season. Had a very good run at Long Beach, picking up a top 5 finish, if my memory serves me correctly. But Gargaro right now sitting in second place in the points, so he certainly had a very good start to this season.
The only person from that 1987 Daytona 500 that I was looking for that I'm not seeing is the driver of the number 16. I can't quite remember his name, but I'll know it when I see it. That got sent, I believe it was 4 laps down and made up 3 of them.
Oh,
if you remember that, Frank.
Yes, I do. That was one heck of a drive.
Trying to get back and find out exactly who that was, but I can't remember his name at this point in time.
Robert Covey has entered pit road, and right here it just looks as though he's struggling a little bit and just pulls on off into the pit lane as the field now works its way on by. Behaving themselves here. Haven't seen too many dive bomb attempts. Everyone just keeping right now in a line, as these cars, it takes a second before you can figure them out. And it also, with it being an open wheel car, you may notice it looks and feels as though the right rear sticks out a little bit further than the right front, and that could catch a lot of drivers out, as somebody could smack the wall just by getting a little too close to it.
Well, obviously in these cars, that's done by design more so to get the cars to turn. I know we do it on dirt a lot. That's where my background is from, but I'm sure that these cars are set up similarly. Again, big difference in dirt and asphalt. Asphalt's for getting their dirts for racing, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, it could be a similar situation as to where it's all setup based, but again, like you said, it would create the driver to think, hey, I might smack the wall with this right rear if I'm not careful.
And unfortunately, with the way this sim is, it's kind of like the ARCA car with this sim. This car is very, very hard to get out of the wall once you put it in there. As we saw that last lap, Brian Halleck got really high coming out of corner number 4. We'll see if he does it again. Yeah, he's way higher than Spencer Todd and Joey Haynes on exit of these corners now. Could he be pushing a little bit too hard here just to try to keep that lead, try to gain as much points as he can?
Well, whatever he's smoking, I want some, because it seems to be working right now, as he's gaining just a little bit, but not enough to write home about, as you've got those 2 teammates there in Todd and Haynes. But luckily for Halleck, there's not that much that teammates can do with each other at a track as small as Loudon, New Hampshire is.
You're not necessarily looking for a slingshot here off of your teammate. You're looking mainly for a rear gunner, for someone who may be a little bit quicker trying to catch up. And these guys are very close. And again, just as we saw, that I believe was the 23 of Nathan Medina, who had just jumped onto the wall. And that's one of the fears of these cars, is that being an open wheel set, if you do get into the wall, you're climbing it instead of just bouncing off of it, unlike a closed fender stock car.
That is exactly right. Again, these cars, more so ones that I feel comfortable with watching because of my work on the big block with the big block modifieds. On Thursday nights, I've seen plenty of cars hit walls and climb them, trust me, and that's not something I'm looking forward to seeing here again tonight with these wheel and modified cars.
Looking back, as we can see the 033, that is Ethan Osowski trying to find a spot on Michael Broomhead to try to take a position away, and unfortunately just cannot quite get it done, as Ozzie Milwane in the 114 is also looking rather aggressive. He's going to dip it down onto that bottom lane and push up, trying to take that 033 out of line. Does successfully. Can't quite hold the momentum up coming out of the corner. Has to duck back in line behind Osowski.
Thinking back about a half a lap, the 64 of Rob Courtney made a tremendous save coming through turn number 2 there. Had a little bit of contact with the driver to his inside, but pulls her back home. He's currently sitting in the 19th position, and other than that, I'm seeing a lot of single file action right now.
These cars are a little difficult to run side by side. As we take a look back at our points leader, it's the 31 of Justin Garrick. Garrick right now sitting behind the 2 Forge Racing entries of Robert Deloche and Greg McEnany. And not the greatest start to this race for Garrick. Started in the 12th position, has lost the 1 spot, has not been able to gain it back, as this battle here between Osowski and Broomhead is certainly not dying, as now Broomhead, boy, just does have that 033 to his inside, and the 114 of Ozzie Milwane certainly looking to head forward.
The 114 is hoping that 033 is able to find a lane around him, and he will follow him right up down the back straightaway. Peaked for the 3 wide for a moment, but he's going to stick to the bottom here. And 54 comes down the track, and Milwane goes around, and the caution flies for the 2nd time here in Loudon, New Hampshire.
Boy, and that was just close racing there. And again, it just goes to show how quick you can lose one of these cars. Now, these cars don't quite have the power and straight line speed as a NASCAR stock car would. However, you can still certainly lose it. As we'll take a look here, these guys all battling, and we were watching the battle unfold. And just already right there, it was the 54, you're right, a Broomhead just coming down. Get a better look of it here.
Again, not quite sure if Broomhead got a little bit loose in the corner or what the deal was there, but the contact was made, and like you said, it was Milwane taking the absolute brunt of it.
This is the corner prior, down the back straightaway. You can see now Osowski has the run, and the 54 just trying to diamond the corner. Didn't realize the 114 of Medina was there. A very good job, or pardon me, of Milwane. Very good job of Milwane not to damage that car any more than what was absolutely necessary going through the grass like that.
That is exactly right. Looks like he's going to go all the way to the tail, however, which does kind of suck. But I'm starting to wonder in my head, Frank, how big of a factor do you think tire wear will be? And do you think we'll see green flag pit stops or pit stops in general during this first 125 lap session?
Well, we're seeing guys coming out of pit road right now, including the race leader, Brian Halleck. Greg McEnany, Jacob Mink, last week's winner, Ethan Osowski. A lot of Forge cars have been in and out of pit road here, so everyone from 9th on back now has taken a trip down pit lane. So to answer your question, yeah, I think we could see some pit stops.
Well, yes, I did see them down pit road, which is why I asked. But the main question there was, how big is tire wear here with these cars at this track? Because I've never seen these cars on this track on the iRacing sim. Will tire wear be that big of a factor as we go along?
These cars do run quite a good amount of laps in the official series. I know, like, if you take these cars around Sobo, it's 60 laps. Or if you take these cars around Irwindale, it's 90 laps. The difference between Sobo and Irwindale is they're not a mile long. They're half miles, and in some cases a little bit shorter, that these cars usually run around, say, Five Flag Speedway, which we'll be going to a little bit later on this season. But certainly tire wear, I would have to assume tire wear is going to be some sort of a factor. The question is, when do you want to pull it off, as we are about to go back to green flag racing here, just beyond the century, just beyond the century mark as far as laps to go here in this race.
That's exactly right, as you stated. 25 laps in the books, which means 100 laps remaining. We are on lap 26. So, plenty of time to kick back, relax, grab a bag of popcorn, and enjoy the Majors American Sportsman Series here as the iRacing pace car dips down. I believe. Yes, he did. And we are back underway. The green flag flies here for Spencer Todd.
A better restart there for the guys in the midfield. Still very, very... Boy. Oh, around goes its Broomhead around. And that will be caution number 3 very quickly. And again, 3 wide going into turn 1. That was Broomhead. I believe it was the 23 of Medina. And then... Boy, then I'm not sure. I believe it was Milwain on the bottom of that 3 wide.
That is correct, yes.
So we'll see here on this restart. Jumbled up restart. Not as bad, though, as last time, but you're going to be watching the black car there in the middle.
It was the 6 of Bryson Shoot on the bottom. And then, like you saw there, the 54 made a little bit of contact with the 23. 23, in his efforts to save the car, went back high, and there was the second bit of contact. So really a racing incident there, as the racing groove here at this track is rather small compared to the size of it.
You can see off the left front of Medina's modified on that replay. Pretty straightforward, that one. Is car's now circling, trying to catch back up to the pace car. The pit lane will open once the leader catches the aforementioned safety car.
One thing is for certain already, the safety car driver, he's earning his paycheck today.
Absolutely, and we still have, in all honesty, we still have 225 laps to go here tonight.
Don't tell me.
This is also again, every time we come here to New Hampshire, it's not a product of the series. It's a product of the track. This is a very difficult track to get around. It's a lot of high-speed straightaways. You can get up to a pretty good speed down these long straightaways, and then narrow as far as the racing line and the line that holds the most speed is concerned. Very narrow, flat corners with heavy braking zones. So it's almost like a road course as far as how you have to run this racetrack. Makes it difficult in any car, especially on this service.
That is exactly right. And I just want to mention one thing. You may have the exact same memory that I have, but thinking back to my childhood, I want to say it was NASCAR 05 or NASCAR 06 that had the career mode where you started in the Wheel and Modified Tour.
It was 05. That was Chase for the Cup.
That it was. One of my fondest childhood memories ever were these Wheel and Modified cars. Just in general in that game, and the nostalgia factor that I'm feeling right now is amazing. So I hope that some of you watching out there have that same nostalgia factor and are absolutely loving the action you're seeing so far from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And we've still got a long, long way to go. But hey, we're having fun up here in the booth. You guys tag along and have some fun with us.
Absolutely. As you guys would love to see you guys getting vocal in the chat. Appreciate whoever RGL Motorsports, as far as who you are. I'm not quite sure of your, well, we'll do it this way. RGL Motorsports, if that is indeed your real name. Good luck in Split 2 here tonight, as Split 1 has proven to be a very difficult race here as we get set to go back to green flag racing. The new iRacing pace car getting set to duck off here for yet another time to get these guys turned loose. Green flag is back in the air, and this one, I think apart from the initial start to the race, this was by far and away the cleanest start that we've had tonight.
That it was. You see a lot of guys branching off in 2x2 sections here. We've got battles from front to back of this field. I mean, man, pick your battle and watch it right now as these guys are going at it.
Absolutely. Joey Haynes just getting around David Gargaro Jr., Ozzie Milwane, and Bryson Chute. We've seen how much Bryson Chute, it's only been 32 laps, and Chute has had quite an eventful race so far. There's the 3 of Brian Halleck trying to get around Michael Broomhead in the number 54. Halleck, the pole sitter, led until he came into pit road on lap 23. Trying to work his way back up, has already made up 2 positions on the racetrack. As that 23 of Nathan Medina, after being involved in that last caution, sitting right behind him in the number 23.
That is exactly right. You see there, Medina's car may say 6, but his number is 23, if anybody at home is confused. And you got Jason Mick in right behind them, and then your top 10 is rounded out by Jeremy Morrison, but guys doing extreme battling towards the back of the pack here as we start to finally single file back out and hopefully work off some laps here. A long way to go. We're on lap 35, make it 36 next time by at the line.
To my recollection, I think this is the first time we've seen Jeremy Morrison up here in the top split here so far this season. So very nice to see new faces into the series. Right now, only one driver not on the lead lap, and that is Robert Covey. Covey in the 72 came into pit on lap 9 under green flag. One would have to assume to repair a little bit of damage on that number 72 as he's getting passed up by his teammate Jason McSparron in the 119 right now. Covey, the only car sitting off of the lead lap right now, currently 4 down to the race leader. Going back up front, however, quite a battle brewing between Joey Haynes and David Gargaro. This for the second position. Gargaro right there and really had to put the binders on to keep from getting into the left rear of Haynes.
Like you said, room on the racetrack was at a premium for both Haynes and Gargaro as he's now fallen back about a car length, but that may very well open the door for Ozzie Milwane in the 114 as he's going to peek to the inside going down the front straightaway.
Riding on board right now with David Gargaro, riding on with our gyro cam here, and you can see the gyro cam doesn't move. This is a very flat racetrack, and you can see as Gargaro dips down to that very bottom line, it almost flattens out. So it goes to show you why this second lane here, where these guys have been running, is the place to be. Gives you the most banking. It's the shortest way around this racetrack. Just think of Martinsville, just a mile long instead of a half a mile.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comparison there. These turns are a little different. Whoa, as I was still riding along with Gargaro, he got a little fishy there off of turn number 2, but gets her back in, and he's pulled right back up to the back bumper of the 338 once again. Gonna test his luck for now a second time.
Team cars currently running in first, second, and I assume sixth. That would be at least what my eyes are showing me.
That should be correct. I'm seeing about the same thing. I was actually beginning to ask to explain a bit of the team paint schemes.
Okay, so
who they are, you know.
Let's go through. Okay, so Gargaro, Vengeance Motorsports. He's the black car there in third position. Yeah, look it through here. Look it through. As far as who's up in this group, Ozzie Milwane in the 114, running with Evolve Sim Sports Academy.
Okay. And are they connected anyway with your first and second place cars?
Joey Haynes racing with Evolve. Spencer Todd racing with Evolve. Looking through, trying to... Michael Broomhead racing with Evolve. So yeah, these are all... Basically what we're saying is this is a very good team points day.
This is very good so far.
Academy.
It is very good so far, to say the least. My biggest wonder there was if there was any difference between your first and second place guy, your fourth and fifth place guys, because they're running basically the same scheme but reversed. Didn't know if that was anything like mind games or something, or if they were in fact teammates. But if they are in fact teammates, they should be racing nice with each other.
That is a thing, by the way. So as far as running multiple teams, now there is a Forge Racing Sport 1 and a Forge Racing Sport 2. There is a Kinetic America's Sportsman 1 and 2. So that's not completely out of the ballpark there. But yes, those guys Evolve, from what I can see, Evolve is single team as starting to... Once again, we're seeing the same thing that we were seeing with Brian Halleck. That leader, Spencer Todd, starting to really push up higher out of the corners than what he was doing earlier.
Well, he made...
into the wall hard!
He's into the wall there!
Boy, that was a big hit for Spencer Todd, and now that'll give Joey Haynes the race lead. Todd trying to hold on with Gargaro Jr. to his inside.
Now I'm going to be interested to see if the same thing starts happening to Joey Haynes here.
Yeah, as far as pushing up, certainly. And that could do with a couple of things. You're pushing the car harder, being out in front, and two, you have a frame of reference in second place or riding behind somebody as far as how hard you're pushing the car in the middle of the corner, as compared to the leader where you are the frame of reference.
That's exactly right, and that's why it's always a tricky game of whether you really want to be in the lead at certain points or not, because A, you do set the tone for where people are going to run on the racetrack, but B, you also have to make sure that you are setting your own tone and not overdriving the race car, and that could very well have what we saw there from your former leader, Spencer Todd. But Joey Haynes actually looks like he's doing just about the same thing that Todd was, going a little higher than Gargaro Jr. off of every corner.
Yep, and that was also the same thing we started to see with Brian Halleck, who has moved up into that sixth position in the number 3. The pole sitter coming into pit again on lap 23. Has worked his way up, and there was a car, I believe, that had climbed the wall. The caution is out, and that is the 350 of Greg McEnany. Oh, the 75 of Morrison's there as well, and Morrison's engine is kaput.
I think it's time to dial up the old tick, tick, boom, because that engine just went bye-bye.
Well, he's got it back, it appears, or at least has it back for the moment. We'll see what caused this caution. This is Greg McEnany in the 350 on the inside, Morrison on the outside, and those two, oh my goodness, that was an incredibly hard hit for those two.
Wow, what a hit for both drivers there. As again, a weird, possibly iRacing bug incident there where they were inside of each other for a split second before both careening into the outside wall.
That was right there. That was on board with Jeremy Morrison, and we'll take a look at it from overhead, because it looked as though the 350 was starting to push up, and they just connected. Yep, hit wheels, connected, and that was it.
And one goes into the other, and they both go into the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the hook there, as we see pit road, a very busy place right now. There was somebody sideways there in pit road. Is that Jacob Mink? It is Jacob Mink.
What in
last week's winner? So the 47 of Mink goes sideways coming into the pits. And you can see these are not the fastest pit stops in the world, as now here comes Garrick out of pit road. Justin Garrick will win the race off of pit road. These guys are going to be fueling up here, would have to assume, and there they go.
So it looked like Mink made contact with Osowski there getting into the pit. So not quite his fault, but dadgum, man.
This is Jacob Mink here on pit entry. Osowski is there, running just behind him. This looks like it might be a case of, oops, I didn't realize my box was coming up. Oh, no, he's... See, and that's why right there, that is why so many leagues have a mandate that you have to run as far over to the right as possible on pit road, so stuff like that doesn't happen.
That's exactly right.
Because that was Mink trying to get to his pit box, and Osowski was running to his inside and just didn't need to pit just then and just hooked him.
That is exactly right. I know most leagues out there do have that rule mandated where you have to run the outside line until, I believe, 3 pit boxes before your own. You can then go into the inside line there, but I don't know if you caught it on camera just now, but my favorite thing I've ever seen in my entire life, tuxedo pit crew.
Yes. Well, it's high class. It's high class racing.
The highest class racing in the entire world. Could you imagine?
Only the highest of high class for HCR. Speaking of HCR, there's Justin Garrick. He has come back into pit road. So him coming out of pit road first is officially null and void. As we get set to go back to green flag racing here, Bryson Chute, the only Bryson Chute did come into pit on this lap. He will hold the lead over Brian Halleck. Green flag is back in the air. Oh, and they're wrecking in the back already. This is 73 around of Gerard Gilbert.
Got a 3-car pileup back there, it looks like.
Michael Broomhead and Stephen Paulison, the other drivers involved in that.
Looked like the 322 machine of Paulison just didn't quite fire when the rest of them did. The 54 of Whitehead jumped to the outside of him, tried to split it 3 wide down the front straightaway, and makes contact with the outside man, Gilbert, throwing them all for a spiral there.
And Broomhead certainly got the best jump out of everyone on that restart. Tried to... Not sure why he would make that move, because while he can pass Paulison on the inside there, he can't pass Gilbert. So why he would make that move, I'm not too sure. And Broomhead first makes contact with Gilbert and then right down into Paulison. They both go. I'm sure those two aren't that happy, and he actually backs up into Robert Covey.
I'm not one to speculate, but like you said, I'm not sure why he jumped to the outside there of the 322. May have just thought that there was no room to go inside of him, or he didn't have a chance to brake, but yeah, that may have ruined the day for a bunch of guys there.
Broomhead, we've seen Broomhead racing up in the top 10, so he was just trying to get back into position. So he's quicker than those guys, wants to get back up there as quickly as possible. However, there's a certain way to do it. And like I said, going per iRacing rule, Michael Broomhead, the pass that he would have made on Paulison to Paulison's right would have been legal. The pass on Gilbert would not have been prior to the start-finish line, so that's one of those, yeah, it stinks, but there's really no advantage to that move.
No, there is not, unless, I mean, he could have been aiming to just keep it 3 wide until the flag stand and then make the pass, but either way, that put a lot of people in some very, very tricky spots there as you take 3 wide into turn number 1 here in Loudon, New Hampshire, and you do not know what's going to happen after that. So, tough break, but could have saved even more of a disaster for other cars.
Thank you for the emojis there, Camden, in the chat. By the way, also, if you're new to ESPN, please, 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 please subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get into seeing our exact numbers here. We've gotten quite a bit of subscribers here. We are currently 8 subscribers away from our 1,500 subscriber goal, at which both Byron Rodney, Sam Cooper Bennett, and Tony Trapasso will be getting tattoos of the ESPN logo on them in some way, shape, or form. So we are 8 subscribers away from that, and it wasn't more than a month ago that we were about 208 away from that. So we certainly thank you for the support you guys have shown for the channel, and 8 fake accounts are a heck of a lot easier to make than 208.
Well, I've already made about 200 of them, so maybe I gotta make 8 more.
So we hope we could hit that goal tonight here. If you just hit that subscribe button to keep up with everything and anything ESPN.
If we do hit the goal here tonight, I'm calling Mr. Sam Cooper Bennett, telling him to pull his pants down because I've got a needle full of ink. It's gonna happen, baby.
As we get back to Green Flag Racing here, Bryson Chute, Brian Halleck getting away. However, Halleck coming under a little bit of fire from Joey Haynes. Still side by side in the middle of this field. The top 4 have broken away safely, but right in the middle of this pack, right in Spencer Todd, Daniel Davis territory, we are side by side.
That we are. Battle back there for the 5th position. It's Ozzie Milwane on the inside with Ethan Osowski to his outside, and I haven't seen enough racing here to know which line wins here, but right now it looks like Milwane has what would be preferred, but Osowski still a pretty good run down the back straightaway as we head into turn number 3.
Matt Gelder in the 69, that purple number 69, stuck on the outside trying to get around Daniel Davis in the 333. Has another Forge car, Maurice Gamillion, behind him in the 44. First time we have spoken of them today as Ozzie Milwane and Ethan Osowski start battling for the 5th position. It looks for the moment that Milwane is going to win that battle.
And just as you said that, it looked like Osowski was going to fire back. Milwane has the advantage here in the corners, but as we've seen lap after lap, there's a run on the outside from the 033. Milwane tries to slam the door, but the 033 is still there, knocking, kicking, screaming, doing whatever he's got to do to try and contain that position. But now, finally, relinquishes the 5th position to Ozzie Milwane, who is on a hard charge towards the front.
Brian Halleck trying to get a look on that lead of Bryson Chute. The 033 going way down on the back straightaway, trying to find a way under Ozzie Milwane yet again. Has Spencer Todd right behind him. Milwane and Todd, both podium finishers, 2nd and 3rd last month at Long Beach for the 114 and 318. As David Gargaro now starting to back up a little bit. It looks as though this entire front group starting to back up a little bit as, boy, Halleck got really close to that outside wall in 4.
I was just about to say that your original race leader, your pole man, he was coming back and going to try and fight for the lead here away from the 6 of Shoot, but there could have ruined some of his momentum, but he's right back to work into turn number 3. Brian Halleck, that man's got a fast race car. He's just got to put all the pieces of the puzzle together here to get around the 6 of Shoot, and he's going to look to the inside down the front straightaway.
It certainly is. As we're seeing it again here, this top 7 breakaway. Bryson Shute, Brian Halleck, Joey Haynes, David Gargaro Jr., Ozzie Milwane, Ethan Osowski, and Spencer Todd have broken away here in this 7-car front pack. Robert Deloche, currently the leader of the second pack of cars, about 1.4 seconds off of the front, and that is Deloche, Gelder, Gamilion, Medina, and then a couple of stragglers, Daniel Davis and Jeremy Morrison in between those two. And then the next close pack, Chris Sherburne, Brian Scrivener, Jacob Mink, and Rob Courtney in that group for position as well. As we get down, we're in the second half of this first race here. As boy, that's the 3:38 of Ozzie Milwane, or I'm sorry, of Joey Haynes losing position to Ozzie Milwane. That's where I got him from.
And if you didn't see it there for the past 2 or 3 laps, there was a battle side by side for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, as Gargaro was to the outside of Milwane at one point. Then Milwane saw an opportunity to the inside of Haynes and took it. And now Milwane has been the chief in charge of 3rd through 6th, as he's told him, hey, y'all calm down back there. Let's race some clean laps.
We'll take a look here. This is the pass for the race lead here as Halleck taking race lead, going into turn number 1, taking it rather easily for Bryson Shute in the number 6. So straightforward as you like right there. That's the kind of racing you like to see here, especially in this series.
That it is heck, I was so caught up in that battle for 3rd that I did not even think to look at your leaders at the time. As you just stated, Halleck right back to the lead, your original fast time setter, asserting a little bit of dominance here on lap number 64.
Yep, absolutely. And while we have a second here, as Ozzie Milwane now trying to get past his evolved teammate, Bryson Shute. Same thing happening now with Joey Haynes, and around goes Haynes and Shute. They stop in the middle of the racetrack, causing the rest of the front group to stack up. Robert Deloche gets involved, and that is going to be caution number 6.
That it is. Looks like a little teammate on teammate violence there. Obviously not planned, but unfortunate nonetheless.
Seeing from up above here, Milwane's already made the move, and boy, that Haynes just a little too early on the throttle. Boy, that's a very tough lick.
Ooh, yeah, I just saw that lick you were talking about. Oh, man, whipped him all the way around and then whipped him back around.
Yeah, certainly did, as we do have some guys in pit road right now. Ozzie Milwane leading a group of drivers down pit road.
You'll remember Milwane was one of those guys who led that Daytona 500 for a long stretch of time. I'm not sure how he did at Long Beach last month, but that there is a driver that
second place.
Hey, some good runs out of Milwane, looking to capitalize on the momentum here and pull off a win.
Absolutely, and Milwane currently at the moment sitting tied for 7th in the standings, just a mere 10 points behind Justin Garrick, and that is certainly going to switch here tonight with Garrick running as high as he's been running all night long tonight, just sitting in the 12th position right now, is our current points leader. Again, the current point standings for these guys. Justin Garrick, David Gargaro Jr., Brian Halleck. Those three separated by just 1 point. Gargaro and Halleck 1 point behind Garrick. Chris Sherburne, who has not had a good run here tonight so far, and Robert Gamble, who, if recollection serves me correctly, is not here, at least with the top split tonight. So there will be a shakeup in the top 10 in points, certainly. Question is, how many will get shaken up?
That is a very big question that we're going to get answered here tonight after we get done. But like you said, 1 point separating a few drivers there, and what a testament that is to the level of racing competition here for this major series. Yeah, one of the absolute best on iRacing. You are not going to find any better than right here on ESPN.
And again, like I said, we're just 8 subscribers away from, make it 6. We're 6 subscribers away from our tattoo goal of 1,500. Thank you very much to the 2 that have subscribed between this and last caution.
Yeah, I had time to make 6 accounts.
So it'll be Brian Halleck and Ethan Osowski, as Forge Racing right now makes up 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the racetrack right now. So Halleck, Osowski, Gamillion, and Davis, the first 2 rows, as we get set to go back to green flag racing here on lap 72 of 125. Green flag back in the air. And once again, Brian Halleck takes it away.
A bunch of the same looking cars. They're your top 4, as was just stated. Those teammates going to try and build a foreseeable wall from the rest of the field, and all 4 stay out front. Not sure if they're going to be able to do it as of now, but like we're seeing, Brian Halleck is lightning quick with the next driver up there without a Forge Racing paint scheme is Jeremy Morrison in the number 75, and then it's a bunch of different colored cars back behind him.
Absolutely. Chris Sherburne, who we had just mentioned not having the greatest of days, started in the 20th position, up to 8th right now, as that number 135, pardon me, moves to the outside. There is last week's winner, Jacob Mink, with one of his high-class teammates, Brian Scrivener, behind him in the number 70. And now Mink moves 1 step closer to the top 5, as he can now set his sights toward the 75 of Morrison, who, if you remember, about 25 laps ago was sitting upside down out of turn 2.
Well, that's why we love the iRacing servers, or the iRacing service. It doesn't cost anything to get a brand new race car shipped to you within 2 minutes. So,
and unfortunately, people drive like that sometimes.
That is exactly right. That's how I made all my money. Oh, like you said, Jeremy Morrison having a good run up there, a good rebound from 15th to 5th currently in this first segment. Biggest mover, however, is Daniel Davis in the number 333. He is from 17th. He's up to 3rd now.
Absolutely. As Spencer Todd, we're looking back at the guys who came into pit that were running up towards the front. Spencer Todd running just outside of the top 10 in the 11th position right now. Ozzie Milwane, David Gargaro right behind them. And this, if you can't win this race, this is about where you would want to be. If you can't race for first, you may as well race for 10th, because as I had said, going into the feature, the top 10 finishers from this heat race are going to get inverted going into the feature. So 10th would become the pole, 9th will become 2nd, and so on. So this is going to be another battle to watch, and right now, Justin Garrick would have the feature pole.
Well, that would be exactly what my strategy would be if I were one of the drivers here tonight. If I was Brian Halleck, I would wait till lap 124, act like something broke on the car.
Oh, around they go.
For the 70, save it, buddy. Don't think he was able to, as the
No,
yellow flag ends up flying there for the number 70 of Brian Scrivener. And there you see him turned around on the racetrack after collecting about 5 or 6 cars.
certainly was not, and that was unfortunately collecting a lot of the drivers that were up towards the front as the 70 of Scrivener was going to battle with Greg McEnany in the pardon me, this is McEnany coming into it later. Pardon me, it was Scrivener he was doing battle with. Or Sherburne, rather. My goodness. Take a look now at Scrivener. Going to make a move to the inside and just got on the brakes a little too late. Rob Courtney involved. There's Garrick. Milwane, Gargaro. The 119 of McSparran. Spencer Todd in the 318 also caught a piece of that, and that's why we say it's road course racing on an oval, because it's long straightaways, heavy braking zones, and sometimes you judge it wrong.
Well, the good thing about these cars per se is that those bumper bars all the way around the cars, they usually are able to save you from taking too much body damage. But when they do start to bend, like you're seeing there on the number 31 that was involved in that caution, when they bend, all heck will break loose. So, good thing and a bad thing to have those bumper bars all the way around the cars.
I do apologize if there are any quality issues here with the broadcast tonight. Being in Long Island right now, there's a little bit of a storm rolling through, so that might be wreaking havoc with the broadcast quality here, so we do apologize for that. As we get set here to run at least 2 more pace laps, and while we have this moment here, we're going to take a look at some things that are going to be coming up here on ESPN. Coming up tomorrow night will be the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. They will be at Martinsville.
Cannot wait for that.
Yep, 8:20 tomorrow night for them. Then it'll be a double dip on Tuesday night. It'll be the MX5 Pro Series. They will be at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And if you missed last week at Oulton Park, there was some great racing at Oulton Park with those guys last week. Western States Racing League will round out the night. They will be at Homestead Miami Speedway at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Then another double dip coming up on Wednesday night will be round 2 of the Endurance for Beginners Series, which put on a great show at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park last week. They will be heading to the legendary Silverstone circuit for round number 2 of their season, starting at 8:25, and then at 8:45 will be the continuation of round number 6 from the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series at Homestead Miami Speedway. That race started 3 weeks ago, was halted 30 laps in after connection issues that could not be resolved in session. So they will run the final 170 laps of that round 6 event coming up on Wednesday night. As we get set to go back to green flag racing here, Brian Halleck and Ethan Osowski, your current front row. As we get set to go back racing here, Ryan, take it away.
I sure will. It's all Ford Racing, still top 4. The green flag flies. We're back underway here from the New Hampshire Speedway. You've got 3033, 44, and 333. A bunch of 3s, a couple of 4s, and a top 4 pack of teammates here down the back straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. As boy, guys getting really close. Chris Sherburne having a little bit of a moment there. And again, this is that race for 10th as Matt Gelder currently has it, and it's going to get bumped by Medina. Caution's going to come out again. And this is this close racing that we were talking about. Rob Courtney involved. Looked like Joey Haynes involved as well in that incident. And boy, oh boy, it's starting to get racy in the mid-pack again.
Starting to get racy, but starting to also get a little ugly, I'll say, as we've still got plenty of laps here that we need to get in before going to the second 125 lap segment. But as a continuation from what you were saying earlier, on Thursday night, I know we have both the DOB 410 Sprint Car Series and the Big Block Modified. Frank, what else do we have coming the people's way after that?
Yeah, we certainly. We'll get to that here in just a second. You were riding on board with Joey Haynes on that replay of what would I believe be caution number 8, if I know how to count. But yes, the DOB 410 Sprint Series and Big Block Modified Series will be coming your way on Thursday night. The 410 Sprint cars are going to be at Limaland. The Big Blocks are going to be at Cedar Lake this weekend. And then I believe we are off. Yeah, we're off until next Monday.
Ooh.
After that, there's a possibility that we are going to have the Medieval Racing League, their Daytona 500, this upcoming Sunday. And for those of you who are wanting another broadcast to check out, here, if you have 2 monitors, prop us up on one, and then on the other is the Medieval Racing League. They're running their duels at Daytona as we speak right now in the 2013 Gen 6 Cup cars, the old Chevrolet SS. Is what they are on right now, and I think it's time we send a message. Oh, maybe not. Okay, we're still 2 away.
Oh.
I thought we had it. We're 2 away still. We're 2 away from that. God, I feel like a Twitch streaming shill right now. I really do. Come on, guys. We're 2 subs away. We could do this, guys. God, I feel like a putz.
2 subs away. I was waiting on them. Dude, I was hyped. You got me. I was
you know
hyped.
what? If you look at our channel right now, it shows the 15, but it shows the 1.5K. But if you go into like the actual metrics of the channel, it's showing we're still 2 away. So
Keep
come on,
updating
guys.
them.
Come on, guys. We're 2 away. We can do this. We can get it together, and all that other Twitch shill nonsense, garbage, stupid stuff.
Yeah, while y'all are at the 1.5K, just go ahead and get us to 2K. I mean, it's easy.
No. Well, that's clearly the next goal, but the 1.5 we've been working at for a solid 8 or 9 months now. I think it was maybe 2 weeks after I joined ESPN they got to 1,000.
Fine.
And we're getting to 1,500 just now, and this channel's growth over this 2020 year has been absolutely phenomenal. And into 2021 we're still growing, and we thank every single person that, if you don't subscribe, we still thank you for supporting this channel and growing it
Just a little less.
that it has grown. No, just the same. We appreciate everyone that's clicked onto ESPN over the last 3 years. As we go back to Green Flag Racing here, it's one of the cars, I believe that was Deloche heading into pit road here at the start, as Halleck and Osowski. Well, a lot of 3s up here in this top 3. We got the 3, the 033, and then the 333, all running in the top 3.
It is rather confusing at the front. Then we get to a bunch of fours. You got the 44 and the 47 there battling for, I believe, the fifth position. Fourth position. There are too many threes and too many fours, but we're having fun watching this action right now as these guys are going at it 2 by 2 from fourth on back.
The amount of threes in the top three right now is too damn high. As we get set to, we're getting down into the final 35 laps.
47 shot off into the outside.
Yep, certainly did. And also it was Gerard Gilbert in the 73 that was slow on the inside, as there's the 47 of Mink trying to make a move on Gamilion, and he will get the move done. A little bit of shoulder barging going through turns 1 and 2, but certainly will get it done coming out of turn 2. And now Jacob Mink up into the 4th position. This is as high as he's been all race long after winning last week.
That's exactly right. As you saw there, Mink fed Gamilion a little bit of a sheet metal sandwich, but makes the pass work, attains the 4th position here on lap number 90. We are almost to lap 100, and then we've got to get to lap 125 like we warned you guys earlier. It's going to be a long night here, but I promise you will not be disappointed in the Class A racing action you are seeing on the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. You are watching the Majors American Sportsman Series right here on ESPN as we are working lap 91 of 125 here for the heat race. Now, after these next 35 laps are run and completed, we're going to be taking a quick 5-minute break, and then we will be going into our 125 lap feature, which will also feature a top 10 grid inverse. So again, whoever finishes in 10th right now, which is Chris Sherburne in the 135, has that 10th position. He will be starting in the pole position for the main race. So
that is exactly well. Oh, didn't mean to cut you off there, but we do have a battle brewing there for, I believe, the 5th position. That 44 is trending in the wrong direction right now as the 114 of Milwayne is peeking to his outside, trying to make the high line work here. See if he can do it.
Absolutely. Ooh, a little bit of contact there between the 44 and the 114. Jeremy Morrison there as well, now trying to gain a position. Nathan Medina, who has been through the wars here in the first half of this night, running there in the 23 right behind him. Spencer Todd, Chris Sherburne still holding on to that 10th position, but he is coming under a lot of pressure from Matt Gelder in the 69, who not that long ago was just wrecked out of that 10th position.
That is exactly right. As like Frank just pointed out, a few different battles going on the racetrack. We've got a 73 slow trying to let everybody get by him. He's on the bottom side of the racetrack, getting back on it after coming down pit road. I'm keeping my eye on the battle here between Spencer Todd and the 75 of Jeremy Morrison, duking it out for, I believe, the 8th position there.
Yep, absolutely. That's the 75. Yep, you're right. Of Morrison and Todd. Morrison trying to get that spot on the outside. Spencer Todd not about to let him have it here. Not missing anything up front. Brian Halleck has pulled out to a 1-second lead over Ethan Osowski. Up at the front of this field, as it looks like now Sherburne finally going to get an attack from Gelder. Can't quite get there as Schutt and Scrivener battle for the 12th position right behind him.
Let me scroll my cameras back there and find it. That's exactly right. It's Schutt and Scrivener. Schutt right now has the advantage here as he has cleared Scrivener down the front straightaway. He's going to try and pull up to the backside of the number 69 of Matt Gelder, who is right in front of him. And that purple number 69, who was trying to track down Chris Sherburne. So a lot of interesting things are happening right now and some battles brewing. Look at that 6. He now dives to the inside of the 69 of Gelder. A little contact made. A little contact back from Gelder as the pass is completed down the front straightaway.
Yeah, we're sitting there watching also side-by-side battling up in the top 5 as boy, oh boy, Daniel Davis almost getting split 3 wide by Jacob Mink and Ozzie Milwane. Mink is going to swing now to the inside. Milwane on the inside of Daniel Davis for the 3rd position. So Milwane now has that. Spencer Todd working his way back up. He is side by side with Medina right now. That being for the 7th position on track. And boy, look how close Medina gets to the back of the 44 of Maurice Gamillion. As we're starting to see a lot of great action here as Mink and Davis battling it out for 4th just in front of them.
As was stated earlier, the century mark on this race is coming up right now. We are finally hitting lap 100 there as the 47 machine of Mink is able to get around the 333 of Davis. For the time being, he's going to fire back on the outside, but not quite going to have the run up there in the marbles above the racing line. 333 going to continue to fall further and further back, now behind his other teammate in the 44 of Gamillion.
Yep, Maurice Gamillion there getting into the top 5. A battle for 2nd now as Milwane, not wasting any time, trying to get this Heat 1 victory, senses pace in that number 114, trying to get around the outside of the 033 of Ethan Osowski. And you can just see how much quicker that 114 is able to muscle it around the outside. Also, take a look at the last time these guys came into pit, and unfortunately that stupid graphic still isn't working. Halleck, Osowski, Mink, Gamillion, the top 5. Well, in the top 5, those guys came into pit on lap 48. Ozzie Milwane came in on lap 68. So 20 lap pressure tires certainly helping that 114 right now.
It certainly is helping that 114 as well as the 47 of Mink, who is also now inside of the 033 of Osowski. So inside, outside, doesn't matter. People are trying to work their way around a handful of these Ford racing cars at the front of the field, but it's still Brian Halleck out front of everybody by about 2 seconds, give or take a couple of tenths right now.
Absolutely, as we are still... Tanya Swafford looking in the YouTube chat, the 64 of Rob Courtney. There he is in this pack somewhere right at the very back of this pack right there, running in the 15th position. There he is. Ask and you shall receive. We're looking up front again. Nathan Medina in a battle with the 318 of Spencer Todd. Vengeance Motorsports versus Evolve Sim Sports Academy. And boy, a big slide out of the 23 of Medina. Somehow still able to keep that position as the 318 of Spencer Todd. Boy, they're getting really close here. And again, these guys are at the back end, and with this field inversion coming, I don't know how willing to fight to move forward I would be. I'd be looking more at this stage. I'd be looking more to go backwards than forwards.
Strategically, I would play this one pretty safe. If I were any of these drivers from, say, 6th back to 10th, I would be conserving everything I can, trying to stay around that position to get up front for the second 125 lap feature. But that's another long race, so we could easily see your winner from this stage go to 10th and easily come back up through the field and dominate the second one as well.
Yep, absolutely. 19 laps to go. Brian Halleck currently leading by 1.5 1.4 seconds, or pardon me, 1.5 seconds as they cross the line over Ozzie Milwane right now, and Halleck has been the dominant car here in this heat race. Ozzie Milwane trying to chase him down, but right behind him, Jacob Mink is still not let this battle for third with Ethan Osowski go, as boy, a little bit of contact made there between Mink and Osowski. And Mink now is finally going to be forced to give up that position. As look at how many cars are so close to each other right here. Going three abreast going into turn one, and Maurice Camillion is going to be the odd man out there.
Did you say you have 3 breasts, Frank? Did you just admit that?
Well, I mean...
Nah, gotcha. But like you said, Mink gave up the charge on the backside of Osowski. But still, those two held each other up for so long, battling for position, that they allowed in the likes of Spencer Todd and Maurice Camillion, Bryson Shute, Nathan Medina. They are all right there to battle for positions 5 through 8. So this one's gonna get hairy for the rest of these laps here, coming up on 16 to go in this first 125 lap segment.
Boy, Camillion just threw a huge block on Bryson shooting the 6 down the back straightaway. Jacob Mink now coming under fire from Spencer Todd. Todd, another one of those drivers that came into pit on lap 68. So Todd with 20 lap fresher tires, then Mink. Bryson Shute coming in on lap 67. As you see Gerard Gilbert just trying to limp around to make the final 16 laps, well 15 laps as they cross the line here of this heat race, or this first half of this event. And up at the front, let's take a look here. Lap time history between the front two. They were pretty much identical, but over the last 3 laps, Milwane starting to take a decent chunk out of Halleck's lead.
Milwane has absolutely shrunken Halleck's lead at 1.8 seconds. Now it's all the way down to 0.8 of a second. So Milwane on a hard charge here. Don't quite know if he's got just enough time to catch him and make a pass before this thing is all said and done for these first 125 laps, but I cannot sell him short of trying to do just that.
With Jacob Mink and Ethan Osowski having an absolute epic here for the final spot on the podium, at least for the heat race. As Milwane, there they go!
To him!
And that is going to bring out the caution here. And we will have just under 10 laps to go by the time this heat race gets back under green. And boy, you could tell that was coming. These guys had raced so hard for so long. You knew one of them was bound to make a mistake, and unfortunately, Osowski is the big loser in that.
Well, if you saw there, the 47 of Mink got an absolute rocket shot from the 318 of Spencer Todd right in behind him. So
yes, you're right.
That may be what was at fault there, but a spectacular battle there by 2 very, very good drivers, that being the 033 of Ethan Osowski and the 47 machine of Jacob Mink, and unfortunate the way that it ended there on lap number 112.
It's on board with Spencer Todd, and yeah, that's undeniable as Todd, boy, he gave Mink a shot and a half going down into turn number 3. Everybody's staying out, and I think the 2 up at the front, Milwane probably happy and upset with the fact that now he's right up on Halleck with 20 lap fresher tires. Probably a little upset though that he had built a 3-second gap back to both Mink and Osowski, and now that is completely wiped out.
Well, as long as driver 114 is able to get a decent restart alongside of your leader, He should, in hindsight, be able to build that gap back between those two and the drivers behind him. And with how much faster he's been here than your leader, Halleck, could very well make the pass in these last 8 or so laps when we get back going green.
And Sonia, absolutely no problem. We love keeping people highlighted on their favorite drivers, and if you ask, we'll certainly give you an answer. We'll give you a shout for certain. Unfortunately, we don't get as much banter in the chat as we would like, but we're certainly always looking in the chat, and if you have a question, we'll definitely answer it. If you want to see where a driver is, if nothing too crazy is going on right now, we'll certainly give them a look. There is Rob Courtney, running in the 14th position now, up 7 spots from his 21st starting position. Right now, we're looking at Matt Gelder in this group of cars somewhere. There is Gelder in the number 69, and he is being highlighted because he is in that 10th spot.
Ooh.
So he would be the pole sitter once this feature gets underway.
The best car number of all time in the best spot currently.
There it is, right there.
Cannot,
I knew you would say that.
Cannot complain about that if I was Matt Gelder right now.
I knew you were going there. Still 2 subs away from our 1,500 goal. We were sitting on 1499 for the longest time, and I refreshed it during the caution, and we lost one.
What are you guys doing? Hit the subscribe button. I want to see a tattoo on Mr. Sam Cooper-Mena's derriere.
Let's not threaten the folks now.
Not threatening anybody at all. I just want to see some lovely ink on some hind ends.
There's the internet for that. As Brian Halleck goes back and leads this thing down with 9 laps to go, Jacob Mink moving up into the 2nd position, getting a great run on Ozzie Milwane, and Mink was not the cause of that caution, so he is able to stay up in his position, is why he restarted in 3rd. Ethan Osowski just leaving pit lane now as they come across the start-finish line. 8 laps to go. Halleck, Mink, Milwane, Todd, Gamilion, the top 5 here for the first half of this 250.
Boy, what a jump Brian Halleck got on the restart, which, oh my goodness, about a 4-car length advantage over both Mink and Milwane. Milwane was so fast on that previous long run, and right now finds himself trapped behind the number 47, who, as we saw during his previous battle, he's not going to let you go very easily here.
No, absolutely not, and that's, as we're looking at Nathan Medina trying to get around the 6 of Bryson Chute. Here with just 7 laps to go here before the first half of this 250-lap race comes to a close. Halleck appears to be in control, as he has been all race long. Got cycled out, pitting on lap 25. Got back up into the lead after his pit stop on lap 48. And has been right up at the point ever since. We're just coming off of our longest run of the event. And Halleck now with Jacob Mink all over him, trying to just circulate these last 5 laps to get into our 5-minute warm-up session.
As you were saying, Halleck got such a great jump there on the restart, but that advantage has already been shrunk in half by Jacob Mink and Ozzie Milwane both. Milwane still seems to be about the fastest car on the racetrack, but just has no which way around Mink. As I say that, he peeks to the inside here to make a move, coming to lap number 122.
Boy, and that was a big dive there from Ozzie Milwane. Really stuffed it in there. Mink gave him all the room that he needed to keep that car on the inside line. 4 laps to go here in the first half of this race tonight. Boy, these two running side by side, and you can see the marble buildup on corner exit. That is going to really wreak havoc with these drivers if they get offline. That 47 doing a fantastic job of keeping that car wound up enough and turning enough to be able to sit side by side with Ozzie Milwane going through these corners, but it feels as though it's going to be a losing effort as Milwane just cannot quite clear that 47 of Mink.
Well, we saw Mink's battling back abilities come out about 20 laps ago, and he's using them once again against Milwane, who gets a little bit of a shot there from the 318 of Spencer Todd. Gonna push it right up in front of the 47, and now, with a little bit of help from the teammate, has cleared Jacob Mink.
Yep, absolutely, and Mink now falling back into the 4th position. Milwane and Todd finished 2nd and 3rd at Long Beach a month ago, and they are running in those positions right now at the end of this first half. Mink now running in 4th. That's Maurice Gamillion right behind him, trying to gain as much time as he possibly can, but Brian Halleck right now sees a 3/10 lead and 2 more corners to go as he comes out of turn number 2 down this long straightaway. Milwane in no place to make a run at the number 3. Beautiful line through turns 3 and 4 for the number 3. Halleck takes the pole and wins the first half of this Musket 250, and Matt Gelder in the 69 will take pole for the feature.
You know, I spent the last half of that last lap just hoping that Ozzie Milwane had a NOS bottle hidden somewhere in there and he would hit it, and something epic would happen there. But like you just stated, your biggest winner out of all that is the number 69 of Matt Gelder.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will take a look at the finishing results here for the first half of this race. Brian Halleck winning from the pole. Ozzie Milwane, Spencer Todd will sit on the podium. Jacob Mink, Maurice Gamillion will round out the top 5. Bryson Shute, Nathan Medina, Daniel Davis, Jeremy Morrison, and Matt Gelder make up the top 5, and that group will be inverted for the start of the the second half of the race here tonight. Brian Scrivener and Justin Garrick for High Class Racing just sitting outside of that top 10 in 11th and 12th.
That's exactly right. And from then on, you got the likes of Chris Sherburne, Rob Courtney, Robert Deloche, David Gargaro, who was a front runner for most of that first 125 lap segment, got shuffled to the back, but lucky for a lot of these guys that were involved in cautions, ladies and gentlemen, they will all have brand new fresh race cars and one fast repair once we get back going here. So from Gargaro, we had McEnany, Haynes, Osowski shuffled all the way back to 19th, and the guys that were laps down were Robert Covey, Michael Broomhead, Jason McSparron, Gerard Gilbert, and Stephen Paulison. So from that, everybody transfers. Everybody starts with a brand new fresh race car. Everybody has to do 125 laps again.
Yep, absolutely. We are in a 5-minute warm-up session right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this time to take a quick break. We will be right back, and we will get you set for the next set of races, for the next race here, the 125 lap finale. You are watching the Major Series American Sportsman Division right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. We welcome you back here to round number 4 of the Major Series American Sportsman Division here on ESPN. We're getting set for the second half of the Musket 250, and the starting grid will look as such. Matt Gelder and Jeremy Morrison, by virtue of finishing 10th and 9th in the first half of this race, will start from first and second here. Daniel Davis and Nathan Medina will sit in the second row. Bryson Shute and Maurice Gamillion will make up row number 3. Jacob Mink and Spencer Todd will sit in row number 4. Row 5 will go to the top 2 finishers from the first half, Ozzie Milwane and Brian Halleck. Brian Scrivener and Justin Garrick will make up row number 6. Row 7 will go to Chris Sherburne and Rob Courtney. Robert Deloche and David Gargaro Jr. will make up row number 8. Row 9 goes to Greg McEnany and Joey Haynes. Row 10 will see Ethan Osowski and Robert Covey. Michael Broomhead and Jason McSparron will make up row number 11. And row 12 will go to Gerard Gilbert and Stephen Paulison. So that is your starting grid here for the second half of tonight's event. Once again, we thank you all very much for joining. I do apologize for the quality issues here tonight that you guys are seeing. It is raining quite a bit here on Long Island, so that's wreaking havoc, unfortunately, with my with our quality for the live race here. So I do apologize for that. Ryan will be back in just a moment.
Ryan's back, baby.
Oh, Ryan is back.
Yes, sir.
So we will get set to go here for the second half of the Musket 250. Matt Gelder and Jeremy Morrison will lead the field out of turn number 4. Green flag is in the air. The second 125 race is underway.
That's right. 125 and a 125 gives us 250. Quick math. And it's Gelder out front early in that number 69. Who knows? Gelder could have been playing possum that entire time and staying in that 10th position for a reason. And that reason could be that he knows that he will be lightning quick here in the second session of 125 laps. Jeremy Morrison and Daniel Davis are still right there battling it out. Take that back. That is a 23 of Nathan Medina up there battling with the 75 of Jeremy Morrison for the second position.
That is Medina, Morrison boy, on that outside. But boy, this is a chance for these guys. Fresh cars, fresh start. McSparron didn't have the greatest of runs. We saw Paulison not have the greatest of runs. Gilbert had a hard accident. So these guys all now have a chance. Robert Covey went laps down early. This is a chance for these guys to come out, maybe not have performed well in the first 125 laps, but certainly have a chance for redemption here as we look further back as Ethan Osowski, who was running in the 3rd position just prior. Oh, yeah, big wreck. Wow. Rob Courtney, Justin Garrick, David Gargaro. Boy, that was the biggest. Well, we'll take a look at it because I missed it. I was looking at timing and scoring.
It was Garrick and the number 42 of Gargaro and Garrick getting together first. And then Rob Courtney comes careening in at the end of it.
Yeah, Tonya Swafford, close your eyes here because we're going to ride on board with Courtney. As you see those two, Garrick and, oh my, that's a hard hit. So Courtney, Gargaro, 2 Vengeance Motorsports cars, and the points leader all involved in that accident at the back of this field. Chris Sherburne has come down into pit road, as well as Stephen Paulison. David Gargaro in pit road as well. And boy, there you see Gargaro actually just blowing his engine on pit road.
So he may, in fact, be done unless that quick repair is able to restore that engine to its former might. Yes, it will. And Gargaro, luckily enough for him, still had that fast repair to use there. So he'll get right back out there. A driver who, Gargaro Jr. has had some very, very tough luck here tonight so far.
Certainly did. And remember going back to Daytona, finished in second place at Daytona on his roof in the infield.
Mm-hmm. Shades of 2007 on that night.
Ryan Newman.
Well,
or Ryan Newman from 2003. Boyer from 2007, I think.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. The old Jack Daniels number 7 sliding across on its roof. One of my.
But you're actually more correct than I am there, because that wasn't the finish of the race for Newman.
No, it was not. But that was one of my fondest moments as a kid, seeing Clint Boyer. I don't know why. I guess I was a glutton for destruction when I was little, but I absolutely loved it. In a way, most people are.
So as we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing here, Matt Gelder and Nathan Medina on the front row. Jeremy Morrison and Maurice Gamillion will make up row number 2.
Silently a very, very good run here tonight from Maurice Gamillion so far. He's been shuffled back as far as, I believe, 15th, 16th, and he's fought his way back to the front, whether it have been the top 10 invert. He's already fought his way up a couple of times as we have Green Flag back out on the track. It's Gelder, your leader, gets a nice jump over everybody else heading into turn number 1.
Yep, absolutely did. Got a great jump on that restart. Is now Jeremy Morrison trying to use that inside line advantage on Nathan Medina, who is keeping that car wound up on the outside line, trying to hold on to that second spot. And that Vengeance Motorsports entry of Medina will be able to hold that position. And Maurice Gamillion now in a real battle with Spencer Todd as those Evolve cars starting to make their way back up towards the front. Todd, Chute, and Milwane all right up there now.
You've got Joey Haynes right in there behind him, and mixed into that pack there, a pair of Forge Racing entries. And then you get back to the first class, or the high class racing machine of Jacob Mink, who's making his way up towards the front as well. So a lot of your guys that you saw at the front during the first 125 lap segment are once again beginning to make their way back. They will not go away quietly here tonight.
Tranco Productions, I'm seeing you in the chat here. Does that mean that it's pronounced? It's not Bryson Chute, it's Bryson Chute? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Or Chute, rather? Is that what? Please get back to me in the chat on that one, because I want to get it right.
Well, he is Canadian, so if it is somehow French, maybe.
But thank you very much. If that is the case, I do appreciate if there's somebody out there. There's Medina. Wow, Medina and Gelder locked in battle for the race lead, and I meant that as literally as possible. As the caution comes out further back in the field, it appears to be Daniel Davis. Wow, there's a big wreck back here. Daniel Davis, Gargaro again, Robert Covey. Boy, Gargaro fell to the back and has just not been able to recover at all. Robert Covey. We'll see what happened here. We'll go above.
Daniel Davis there rode the entire back straightaway in reverse.
By Jacob Mink. Osowski got involved in it, and then you're right. Just as he tried to pull a J turn, couldn't quite get it righted in time. Covey, Gargaro was there. I believe Justin Garrick, we saw him. get a piece of it. Riding on board with Davis right now. There's the shot from Mink. Tries the J-turn and just, boy, he got clobbered. Right on board with Gargaro now. See this accident happen in front of him. There's Covey in front of him. Runs into the back of Covey once, and then there's, yeah, well, there you go. That was Garrick off in the grass. So Jeremy Morrison in pit road. Ethan Osowski in and out after taking, I would have to assume, a fast repair. As this will be the second caution of race number 2. Here tonight, Matt Gelder currently in the race lead.
Not gonna lie, Matt Gelder probably caught a bit of the luck bug there as he was getting pressured heavily by that 23 of Nathan Medina there for the lead. So Gelder gonna hold on to it for now. Hope to get about the same restart he got last time and pull away from Medina. So let's hope for Gelder's sake, and I know Gelder's hoping as well that old lady luck continues to stay on his side here tonight.
Let's take a look back while we have a second here at the run that these two had. This is going into turn 1, and watch how these guys are locked together from the middle of 1 and 2 all the way to the exit of turn 2. There's the accident happening, and the momentum on the outside helps Gelder get back into the race lead. But boy, that was a fantastic little scrap there, showing 1, Gelder not going to back down, and 2, Medina certainly has a very quick car.
That is exactly right. Medina's been fast all night. Was involved in a couple of incidents in the earlier race, so that could have taken him out of that one, but put himself in a beautiful spot here for race number 2, and he's up there battling for the lead and trying to prove his dominance, per se, against the 69 of Gelder.
So tantalizingly close. We've been at 1499 subscribers for the last about 20 minutes. We just need one more person to hit that subscribe button to get to our goal of 1,500. And we'd prefer it not to be an account that we make to fudge the number.
I can't promise that. No, I can promise that. I want it to be a real person. So anybody out there, check whether or not you're subscribed to the Esports Broadcasting Network. And if you're not, go ahead and hit that subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well to see when we go live, what we're broadcasting, so on and so forth. Stay up to date with us right here on the ESPN YouTube and on our Facebook page as well, as the lights are out on the pace truck or pace car.
Our Twitter page as well, and our Twitch account as well, which this race is live on Twitch right now as well. All of those links are in the description here of this YouTube stream. We are green, and once again, a jumbled start. Not quite as bad. Broomhead going for that 3 wide again. This time makes it work in the 54.
That he does, and now he's going to push 3 wide once again to the high side of both the 44 and the number 3 machine. Going to pull in behind the 3 and fight with Gomillion in the 44 to his inside here. So Broomhead pulling all of the tricks out of the hat on the restart on lap number 15.
And that was what put him out, essentially, of the first race, was trying to make it 3 wide in the middle on a restart that he got a great jump on. Broomhead this time going to the outside 3 wide on a restart, and that time it worked a little bit better for him, as he is now trying to clear Maurice Gomillion in the 44 on the inside, and Will coming out of turn number 2. Matt Gelder still in the lead, and Brian Halleck, the winner of the first half of tonight, right back up there sitting in the top 5. He certainly has the pace and is going to be very dangerous if he gets out in front.
Oh, 100% he does. But one thing I'm noticing now is you're starting to see this track take shape and change just a little bit. As during the previous run, those guys on the outside pretty much stood no chance in any type of a battle. But here we see right now, right there, the 6 of Bryson Shoot was able to also get around the same car that the 54 passed. That was the 44 of Gamillion on the outside as well.
We're there, boys. 1,500, thank you very much. We've been at this goal for so long, and we finally got there. 1,500 subscribers. Thank you all so much for that, for your continued support of the network as we see this battle for the race lead here. Matt Gelder and Nathan Medina up at the front of the field, and these guys start to get really racy as Ozzie Milwane now trying to get around Medina, gets to the inside of him going into turn one, and really close, those two. Able to keep it respectful, though, as Medina will hold firm on the outside.
Boy, if you saw inside of that car there, Medina fighting the wheel like no other to stay off of the 114 of Milwane. He's bringing a teammate right along with him there. As the 23 comes down just a little, it makes a little bit of contact to the number 318 machine. And that's going to do some damage there to the 318 of Spencer Todd, as he's now going to be passed by the 3 of Brian Halleck, who is on the inside, or on his outside, with a good advantageous run.
Yep, absolutely. As Spencer Todd trying to work now the inside, Michael Broomhead allows him to get on through. Brian Halleck now the next car that Spencer Todd is going to have to face. As a battle for the lead here, Ozzie Milwane looking to the inside of Matt Gelder. Gelder now just barely able to keep it and cannot keep it out of the wall and will lose the lead from there. Matt Gelder has made one mistake in the first 26 laps, and that could severely damage that car.
Matt Gelder tried to push it just a little harder than push could be pushed there into the outside wall. He went and fallen all the way now back to the 4th position. So unlucky for Gelder, but we do have a new race leader. It is Ozzie Milwane up there in the 114. Nathan Medina's going to ride second. Brian Halleck dives to his inside, and we might have another pass here at the front of the race.
The inside is certainly where you want to be in order to make a run, but that outside, just the same way it is on a lot of tracks here in this sim, it's the outside line that holds the momentum coming out of the corner. As Milwane currently in the race lead, Medina second, Halleck third, Matt Gelder fourth. Spencer Todd will round out the top 5. In this group here up at the front is 10 cars. Jacob Mink is the last car in that group, working on Maurice Gamillion in the 44. Then it's Jeremy Morrison, who started up in second spot here in this second half, has now fallen back into the 11th position.
Well, the big thing here for Brian Halleck is he has to be pretty content right now, being that the 114 of Milwane is not able to really run away from he or the 23 machine of Nathan Medina currently. So Halleck has to be licking his chops as this race gets later and later into the evening, that once he's able to get around the 23, that 114's not going to be too far away from him.
No, absolutely not. Remember, those two had the biggest breakaway out of anyone. There was a 3-second gap before that caution came out with 13 to go in the race. It was Milwane had about 0.7 of a second to make up on Halleck, but Milwane also 3 seconds clear of the battle between Ethan Osowski and Jacob Mink, which, speaking of Osowski, he's up into the 12th position, looking at Jeremy Morrison now for the 11th spot.
And also, speaking of gaps, there's a gap brewing between your top 3 and 4th on back, as they're already up to 1.1 seconds and growing lap after lap. But looking at the rest of the battles, as you just stated, not too much going on inside the top 10. You see Gamillion battling with Jacob Mink there for the 9th position, as Mink trying that outside once again. And as we saw earlier in the night, he will most definitely not go down without a fair and solid fight.
Absolutely, and you just saw there a graphic showing how that gap from third to fourth has grown over these last couple laps. And boy, Gamilion really pushed up there in the middle of 3 and 4. That will allow Mink around cleanly on the outside, as now Medina and boy, Halleck really had a fit of looseness in the middle of 1 and 2 there. Almost got under Medina for second, had to back out of it and save the car. As we look through the middle of this field, Tranco Productions, correct. We pronounce it Shooty. Okay, so thank you very much. Summer Farm Estates, thank you very much for the congrats on the 1,500 subs. Really do appreciate it. Again, I do apologize for the quality issues that we are having here in this broadcast. Weather not the greatest here on Long Island, so unfortunately it's going to be something we're going to have to deal with here. I don't like it, and I know you guys don't either. As Spencer Todd moves in to the 4th position, or trying to move into the 4th position, as Matt Gelder, who had a big impact with the wall coming out of turn 2 not that long ago, still trying to work that car on the outside, as Bryson Shooty, now that we're saying it properly, is going to the inside, and he will make the pass into the 5th spot. Also, Brian Halleck has made the move, or is still trying to make the move, on Nathan Medina going down into turn 3. Boy, as close as you like. Medina is going to have the run on the outside, but Halleck certainly has the pace in that number 3 Forge Racing machine.
Even though we've still got a long way to go here in this 125 lap feature event, we're on lap number 32 of it. Right now, Milwain is beginning to pack his bags and walk away from Brian Halleck and Nathan Medina after the little bit of contact between those two drivers. It's now up to about a 1.1 second advantage for Milwain, and it grew last lap. It probably will grow this lap, as he's one of the fastest on the track. That it will. It's up to 1.23 seconds. So Ozzie Milwain beginning here to walk the dog on the rest of the field.
You can see that graphic there on the screen showing how that gap has grown over the last 6 circulations around this racetrack. And now with Halleck and Medina no longer battling, I would have to assume that Halleck is going to be able to get right back up to Ozzie Milwain in that number 114. Looking a little bit further back, that is Joey Haynes battling with Matt Gelder. Oh, and around they go with Gelder's up and over. In the number 69, is able to correct it, but the caution is out.
What a green flag run we had there, and tough break there for Matt Gelder. Oh my goodness, was battling there with the 338 of Joey Haynes, and Joey may have thought he left enough space, but just barely not enough, as Gelder pushes right up the track into the wall, and up and over he goes and lands it just like a professional skateboarder right back on the wheels.
You see how close these guys are going in through 1 and 2. And boy, oh no, it looked like Gelder in the 69 the back end may have come out on Gelder's car and turned him up, and that would not have been nearly as dramatic in a closed fender stock car, but as we've made note of plenty of times tonight, it's certainly a different beast when you're racing with open wheel cars. As pit stops are underway, And Ozzie Milwane will lead them down.
That's exactly right, and I'm pretty sure that we should take it upon ourselves to sign Matt Gelder up for the next rendition of the X Games, because what he just pulled off there, that's a 100-point move in my book, ladies and gentlemen. But luckily for that driver, he is able to get down into his pit stall. No harm, no foul, get a quick repair on the race car. So Gelder will be right back in the thick of things here. So, I mean, I guess that's the bright side of it all for driver 69.
You can see coming out of pit road the numbers on your screen there, as there goes Ozzie Milwane. The numbers on your screen, the number up in the 50s, that is total time on pit lane from cone to cone. The time in the brackets is time stopped in the box. First time we've had a real opportunity to bring you that graphic here tonight, as Milwane gets out of the pits in rather short order here. Working lap number 36 here of the second half of the Musket 250. Reminder, coming up here for the Majors Series, coming up on the 2nd of May will be the 2.4 hours at the Nürburgring. This will be a multi-class event. The cars eligible for the 2.4 hours at the Nürburgring will be the Porsche 911 GT Cup, the Porsche Cayman, the Porsche see, this is where dyslexia hurts you. The Porsche 718 Cayman GT4, the new BMW M4 GT4, the brand new McLaren 570S GT4, and the Audi RS3 LMS are the cars that will be eligible for the Nürburgring 2.4 hours on May 2nd. That is the full Nürburgring course. That is the Grand Prix circuit and the Nordschleife, coming up on May 2nd right here on ESPN for the American Sportsman division at least. Then coming up 2 weeks later will be the Indianapolis 500 and the Dallara IR18. Then on June 20th will be the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. In the HPD, the Corvette GT1, the Aston Martin GT1, and the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. So another multi-class event as we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing here. So those are your next 3 events coming up for the Majors Series. Green flag back in the air. We're about to start lap 39 of 125, and those Evolve cars up at the front of the field taking off. Milwane and Schutte up at the front.
What a jump it was there from Schutte on the outside, however, but Milwane is able to get back into the lead down the back straightaway. You've got the 318 of Spencer Todd up there as well. The person that I was expecting to see get out of the pit road faster that did not was the 3 of Brian Halleck, who fell all the way back to, I believe, 8th place off of the pit road. He is currently up to 7th and now 6th, so Halleck has got some work to do if he wants to get back to where he was earlier in this event.
Evolve Sim Sports Academy, 1, 2, 3, 4, just in the same way Forge was back in the first half. So Evolve now stamping their authority on the second half of this event, as Ozzie Milwane leading Bryson Schutte, Spencer Todd, and Michael Broomhead. And then that side-by-side battle we were just looking at between Nathan Medina and Brian Halleck. And ever since that accident that Gargaro Jr. had around halfway through the first half of this Musket 250, it has been Nathan Medina carrying the flag for Vengeance Motorsports and has done a fine job in that number 23.
Well, unfortunately for David Gargaro Jr., he has decided to pull the plug on the night. It was our first DNF of the night, but Nathan Medina doing a fantastic job of hoisting the flag. Oh, just as I say that, it comes down on the number 75 of Morrison, goes into the infield. No caution. We are still green here. But a tough break. The announcer's curse strikes the number 23 of Nathan Medina.
We've done that. I can't count how many times we've done that tonight. We've jumped on a battle and immediately they wreck, as Medina will now slot in line in the 20th position. And we'll take a look and see from overhead what happened there. Well, maybe we'll go back a little bit further. As here they come, coming out of turn 2. There's the contact. We'll get a better, we'll do this third time lucky here. Overhead, there's the contact from the 75 of Morrison. And boy, I'm surprised that they were so fanned out on the back straightaway with the car in the grass.
Aside from that, we've still got a couple of battles brewing back where he was in the 6th position. Morrison was getting beat down from the backside by the 69 of Gelder. For a moment, Osowski back there battling with McSparron. They've all re-single filed out, readjusted, and are working down lap number 44 here, but still out front. Those 4 teammates are laying havoc on the rest of the field, with now about a second between the 5th place car of Brian Halleck and the leader of Ozzie Milwane.
I got a question for you, Ryan. Have you ever felt outnumbered?
A few times in my life, yes.
I'm sure Brian Halleck is feeling outnumbered right now. It's a top 5 breakaway up at the front of the field. 4 Evolve cars to his 1 Forge car.
Well, luckily for him, he does have two teammates within the top 10 as well, so they could find each other and begin working towards the front together. But you've also got more Evolve teammates making their way up towards the front. That's the 338 of Joey Haynes, currently fighting with the 350 of Greg McEnany. Back there for, I believe, the 9th or the 10th position, however.
And that 10th position, unfortunately, means nothing but 10th position in this race, as this race has gone quite a bit quicker and smoother than the first race did. We're working on lap 47 here of this second 125 laps here at the Musket 250 from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick step aside. We will be right back. You are watching the Musket 250 from the American Sportsman division right here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. You are watching the Musket 250, round number 4 for the Majors Series in 2021, the American Sportsman Division, coming to you live from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We are in the second half of this race. We are pretty firmly into the second half of this race. We have almost 200 of the 250 laps to be completed here tonight in the books. We're nearly there. Ozzie Milwane currently leading this race over Bryson Schutte, Spencer Todd, Michael Broomhead, and Brian Halleck. That is the group of 5 that you're seeing on your screen right now. After that, it's Ethan Osowski, just a mere 3.7 seconds behind, with Jeremy Morrison, Matt Gelder, and Jason McSparron to keep him company. Greg McEnany will round out the top 10 in the 350. And then beyond that, it's another 6 seconds back to Joey Haynes, who was one of the front runners in the first race of the night. And then you have this gaggle of cars, which includes the man you see in the middle of your screen, the number 31 for High Class Racing, the current American Sportsman Championship leader, Justin Garrick, who has had a less than thrilling night here this evening. Did not have the greatest run of luck in the first half of the race here tonight and has continued that unfortunate run of form. Started 12th in the first half, finished 12th in the first half, started 12th here in the second half, but is currently running in the 14th position, trying to get around his teammate Brian Scrivener in the number 70.
That is exactly right, but from what you were watching before the commercial break to now, not much has changed. Is it still those 4 teammates of Milwane, Schutte, Todd, and Broomhead out front of Brian Halleck, who has now lost his only teammate in the top 6. That was Ethan Osowski, who is, heck, losing traction on your top 4. So all of Forge Racing's hopes and dreams lie on the spoiler of the number 3 of Brian Halleck, currently 57 laps into this 125 lap second leg of 250.
Brian Halleck, mentioning him, he was the overall pole sitter for the event tonight and won the first 125 laps. Before the break, started in 10th position after the top 10 inversion from the first 125 into the second 125, and has now gotten himself up into the 5th position, and he's giving me the impression that he is just coasting right now, as Matt Gelder making a move for Jeremy Morrison, this for the 7th spot.
That's exactly right. Gelder peeks to the inside going into the turn here. Morrison going to give him plenty of room there on the outside. That's going to give the inside advantage to the number 69, who has a good run down the back straightaway. 75 holds firm there on the outside into turn number 3. However, big slide out of the 75 of Morrison's able to catch some traction back, but that's going to give Gelder the clearance he needed to take the position at the line. Maybe not, as Morrison's got a fantastic run going into turn number 1 here.
All of these drivers came into pit back on lap 35. The only one that has not come into pit and is on the same tire as the man on screen right now, Rob Courtney. Now, Courtney sits 1 lap down after being involved in what I would consider to be the biggest impact of the night here at the start of this second race. Courtney running 1 lap down in the 22nd position right now. He is the only driver on the the race currently that is not on a tire from lap 35. Everybody else is. 1 retirement here in this second half. That was David Gargaro Jr. after being involved in an accident earlier on in this half. As we take a look at the top 5, there hasn't been too much battling up here in this top 5, and that's partially the reason why they currently sit now 4.5 seconds ahead, as we'll look from Brian Halleck There is the time delta between him and Ethan Osowski. That's a half a second in just the last 6 laps, and that has steadily grown from this front pack to the second.
The way that we've got what seems to be pack racing forming makes you think that this might be some good old Daytona Talladega action, but no, in fact, it's not. These cars are just, I guess, good enough to run in these packs here at a shorter track such as New Hampshire, and it's still teammates out front of Halleck, which presents some very, very treacherous waters ahead for car number 3 if he wants to make a move for the lead once again.
Absolutely, and again, that's Evolve Sim Sports Academy running 1 through 4 right now, and it's really been between them and Forge Racing here tonight. Now, Vengeance Motorsports with Nathan Medina especially have had a very good run here tonight. High class racing between the 70 of Brian Scrivener, Jacob Mink in the 47, and the 31 of Justin Garrick have not had the greatest of nights here tonight. They've been up towards the top 5 every now and again. Mink by far and away having the best night of the 3. But if it hasn't been Forge up front, it has certainly been the Evolve Sim Sports Academy. And right now, Evolve is taking control as Brian Halleck is looking impatient behind Michael Broomhead in the 54.
That's right, Halleck trying to make a move on Broomhead. Broomhead gonna do his best not to let him do anything to get past one of those Evolve Sim Sports drivers. But Halleck has the inside. Ooh, a little contact there as the 54 comes slightly down the track. But that's going to do a little worse for wear to that driver as it forces him back high on the racetrack. So it looks to me like Halleck might be able to pull off the move into turn number 3.
Yep, absolutely. As Halleck still sitting on the inside of the 54, not quite able to get the move done. You can see what it's doing to those two. It's really dropping them off the back of the front 3 who have not fought at all. Already 3/4 of a second between these two that are battling and the top 3. And you can also see, look at all of the marbles on the outside line. We're going to ride on board with Michael Broomhead here. And you can see just off to the right of your screen, all of those little black marbles. That's rubber that's been taken off of these tires. And if it gets caught on your nice and warm tires, can certainly make you feel like you have a big problem on your hands.
It certainly can, and as you were speaking about it, the 3 machine of Halleck is able to get around the 54 of Broomhead, but as those two were fighting, it took them back from your front 3 by just about a full second. Now for Brian Halleck to make up to get to the back of Spencer Todd, so could have been the right decision at the right time there for Halleck, but it also could come back to bite him in the backside here as we're working towards lap 70 of 125. We're almost on the home stretch here.
And you just saw how long it takes for you to pass somebody there. Brian Halleck and Broomhead, they were side by side for a good 3 or 4 laps before Halleck, who has had the better car here tonight, was able to get the move done as Ozzie Milwane has been starting to really run away with this race. We saw how good he was prior to the caution with less than 15 laps to go in the first stint of this race. As we're getting down to nearly 50 to go, we're at 56 laps to go. That's Robert Covey diving out of the way in the number 72. And already you can see how good Brian Halleck is. He is almost right back up to the rear end of Spencer Todd.
That he is, about a half second between them. Give him 5 or 6 car lengths at that. But Halleck trying to assert some Forge Racing dominance here. Again, being the only Forge Racing driver in the top 5, with still teammate Ethan Osowski sitting in 6th position, looking into the top 5, over 5 seconds back of your 4th place man.
Again, we really do appreciate everyone who has stuck through here tonight through my horrendous connection issues, weather not playing nice on Long Island here tonight. And we'd like to thank everyone who has been watching and has not absolutely killed me about it in the chat. So thank you very much for that. As we continue on here at New Hampshire, Ozzie Milwayne, Bryson Schutte, Spencer Todd, your top three. Brian Halleck trying to track them back down in what has been by far and away the longest green flag run of the night. And the question now is going to start to come in. These guys all came into pit on lap 35. How much longer can they go? Because this would be the longest track that these cars would run. Usually you would find these cars at tracks like Martinsville or Sobo or Stafford or New Smyrna. This is a long trip around this racetrack for these cars. Pit stops have to be close.
That is exactly right. And we could be seeing them within the next 10, 15, battle for the lead up front as we speak. It is Milwayne in the 114 alongside his teammate in the number 6 machine. That's Bryson Schutte. Schutte able to make the pass. Milwayne might fire back, but right now he's just content to ride behind a teammate as they continue to dominate here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and that certainly looked as though that was here. You take it, because Milwayne put up very little of a fight against his teammate Bryson Schutte, and it's not just the longest green flag run of the night for us. It's the longest green flag run of the night for them. These guys don't necessarily know how these cars are going to act this late into a run just yet. So these guys, even as we sit with 200 of 250 laps completed on the night, these guys still very much learning about their race cars.
That is exactly right. I mean, a lot of drivers in this race and probably in the iRacing server in general don't have that much experience in these Whelen modified cars. So could be the case of these guys still trying to figure these things out and figure out their limitations. Like you said, we've got to be getting close to green flag pit stops, so it could get a little hairy here as we continue on.
This has certainly been a fantastic event that has been put on for the Major Series, and it's very unfortunate that we will not be seeing this series again until the 2nd of May for the 2.4 hours at the Nürburgring. And again, that is the full Nürburgring. That is the Grand Prix circuit and the Nordschleife, which that's going to be an absolutely wild race. I could barely make it there for 2.4 laps, let alone 2.4 hours. This is going to be a race where you need a month just to prepare for something like that.
That it is. And I mean, I'm not even going to begin to say that I have any idea about anything at the Nürburgring, because I just don't. If it's not an oval, if a simple redneck can't race it, I don't know about it.
The Nordschleife itself is, I think it's 174 turns. And I knew I was racing it too much. When Gran Turismo Sport came out, you know how they have, Gran Turismo has the time trial challenges where it takes you around sections of the lap and then it has you do a full lap. I knew I was racing that place way too much when I actually started to recognize where I was on the circuit. And I'm like, okay, I have to stop for a bit now because I'm getting too into this. And then there's people like, say, a Jimmy Broadbent who have made a career essentially off of running at that racetrack virtually. So it's a very specialty place. As Brian Halleck starting to make his move forward again, he is caught back up to the front 3 Evolve cars after leaving Michael Broomhead in the dust. Ethan Osowski now, or pardon me, that wasn't Ethan Osowski. One of the Forge Racing cars was battling there with Michael Broomhead. Oh, no, it wasn't. That was Justin, that's Scrivener, pardon me, in the 70. And you could see, boy, Broomhead's car, I don't know if that was just the camera angle that we had, but Broomhead's car does not seem too happy with him, especially at that rear end.
No, it does not, as he could be fading due to tire wear, or heck, he might be almost out of fuel, but does not sound the best here. As you saw, I believe it was Scrivener may have been our first pit road taker, as he is back to 21st. He was battling mid-pack there for a good bit, so Scrivener, your first pit taker here, and that could open the door for the rest of these guys to come down as well here momentarily.
Scrivener coming into pit on lap 75. We're on board with Broomhead right now, and well, you can see how much that back end was really kicking out there in turn 4. Watch his hands here going through 1 and 2. Entry is not going to be the problem. It's center off where you really have to watch those hands keeping it straight. Now he's having to turn right to go left. Those rear tires have really given up on that number 54, which is why he's falling back. Nathan Medina has found his way into pit road in the number 23 for Vengeance Motorsports. Medina.
What do you mean he's got to turn right to go left? That's how it's supposed to be, Frank.
Yeah, there it is. I've insulted the dirt guy again. My apologies.
Well, you can't insult the dirt guy, but you were talking about Nathan Medina. Medina was up there battling for the lead at one point in this thing and found himself all the way in the back of the pack after an incident earlier in this second leg. He was riding, I believe, in about the 18th position. Comes in here, tries to get it all figured out. Medina down and away from the pit road. Matt Gelder in the 69 in as well. So pit stops, they're happening here on lap number 83.
Guys are starting to trickle in, but you'll notice that Gelder and Medina both have something in common, and that is that they were involved in incidents earlier on in this run. Gelder's incident actually did bring out a caution. Medina's, however, did not. As we look now, Bryson Schutte is starting to get away from these three here as Milwane and Todd are starting to battle a little bit more, and Brian Halleck is starting to see that leader start to run away. Halleck's going to start to put pressure on here. Same thing as Spencer Todd as Todd dives to the inside going into turn 3, trying to take that second position, and you know Halleck is going to be looking to follow.
Well, for them, this could be a bit of a blocking strategy as those two teammates there, Todd and Milwane, could just try and block up the racetrack, so Halleck is not able to get around either one of them. They prove me wrong as Todd passes both of them. So Milwane having some issues here fighting that car as tire wear becomes a major factor.
What was that I had said, like in the first 10 laps of this race? It's nice to have teammates, but especially here, it's going to be for a rear gunner instead of a drafting partner.
That is exactly right.
I think Spencer Todd has just taken the role of Valtteri Bottas at this point. Now, there is a pit stop we are expecting that needs to be made, and you can see the speed differential from Brian Scrivener, who is the car behind this group. Last lap Scrivener put in was a 30.65, not too far off of what Bryson Schutte was able to put in. As Milwane, you saw that as they were going past, Milwane had a big fit of oversteer trying to stay to the outside of Brian Halleck, and this group, which was running line astern, the top 5, has now completely broken apart.
That they have is the 114 and the 3 continue to battle there. 114's got an advantageous run on the outside now, as when he's able to figure it out, it's working, but lap after lap, the 3 car and the 114 are just throwing body blows back and forth, and you see Scrivener there. He's trying to inch his way back up there. He wants to get back on the lead lap here as the 114 of Milwane, a big bobble, gives way to the 3 machine of Halleck, who continues to charge towards the front.
Yeah, you're right. He had an absolutely huge moment there. Could barely see it, unfortunately, with the ticker up there. But you could just see that big snap oversteer that Ozzie Milwane had that eventually lost him that position. Now Halleck needing to make up a second on Spencer Todd, then get around the lap car of Rob Courtney, and then gain another second on Bryson Schutte. And he needs to do that all in about 35 laps. So look at a little bit further back as Maurice Gamillion getting around Daniel Davis in the 333. That is Nathan Medina, who is on fresh tires in that Vengeance Motorsports car on the inside. As now Jeremy Morrison, you look to the foreground, that's Jeremy Morrison and Greg McEnany, Jason McSparron in this group as well here. This would be a battle for the 7th position between this trio. Morrison,
but so far, Morrison's able to hold them off. I mean, the thing that's interesting to me here is as your man not up front yet, but Brian Halleck up there in the number 3, he's pretty much left all of his teammates in the dust here. They have to be talking to each other and giving each other pointers here. I know for a fact that he 100% is going to want his teammates up there with him, battling to hold off, the likes of Schutte, Todd, Milwain, Broomhead during these last 25 laps or so.
This has been by far and away the longest green flag run of the night. We're currently working lap 95 as Bryson Schutte crosses the line to start lap 95. We took the green flag back on lap 38, so this has been nearly a 60-lap run, and these guys would have to assume tires and fuel might be becoming a little bit more of an issue as this run goes on. You may need to stop, maybe put a splash of fuel in. I would have to assume for those who have been able to hang on to their tires, you might not need tires. You might just need a splash of fuel and go, because guys who have taken tires, say Nathan Medina is running a 30.74 last lap. Compare that to Bryson Schutte, who ran a 30.97 last time around. So these guys, there is a tire advantage out there.
I believe you're exactly right here. We still haven't seen your top guys come to pit road. I mean, they're running still lightning quick lap times, staying out front of everybody else. But, I mean, that has to come to an end at some point. They have to come down to pit road. They're obviously going to at least need a splash of gas here. So, don't wrap it up in your heads just yet. We've still got a lot of racing action left and a lot of variables still at play here.
We almost had a caution there as two teammates, Justin Garrick and Jacob Mink, the points leader and last week's winner, having issues going into pit road. There is the 47 of Mink, and you can see how much that back end is sliding around and does loop it on track. Garrick runs into him. Both of those guys end up pulling it off very quickly, getting into pit road. So that was almost the caution that these guys would have needed to get tires and fuel and not have to worry about making a mistake under green flag conditions. Now, pit stops for these guys have been running anywhere between 28 and 32 seconds, with a total time on pit road hovering around 55 seconds to a minute. So you're almost guaranteed to lose a lap here, possibly two, by coming into pit road. But if everybody else needs to come, really doesn't matter.
Well, that is exactly right there. I mean, if everybody's got to come, it's all going to shuffle back to the way it started, or usually it'll shuffle back to the way it started. I mean, Stephen Paulus in there, Robert Covey, Justin Garrett, Brian Scrivener's now 2 laps down, so he's got some work to do there as he pitted. He was one of those earlier pits in this set of pit stops, so Scrivener's got some work to do. He was battling for a top 10 position there for a while. And now with these guys trying their luck and staying out there, possibly, as you said, hoping for a caution, it could come back to bite him in the backside. But for Scribner, he is hoping that these guys begin to trickle down pit road here very, very soon because he wants to get back on the lead lap, I'm sure.
Spencer Todd sliding up the racetrack. That will give Brian Halleck second place as we come down to 24 laps to go. And now Halleck, who remember won the first heat race, who won the first half of tonight's event, moving ever so closer to winning the second half. But it looks like Bryson Schutte has done quite a good job at saving those rear tires. Now this could really help Brian Halleck with Robert Covey, who has front end damage, and Justin Garrick, who just came out of pit road after colliding with his teammate sitting right in front of him.
It could very well. I mean, you never know.
Sorry to cut you off there.
What could happen. Oh, you're all good, buddy. As you said, Ozzie Milwane is to pit road here. So he becomes the first of his team to hit pit road. The rest will probably follow here very, very soon. And then I'm going to assume that we're going to see Halleck come down as well. So this could be some ultimate strategy here from driver 114. Get those fresh tires here for this last little bit of the 125 laps. Like I said, this one's for all the marbles here. The first 125 didn't matter. Just set our lineup. This last 125, that's for all the marbles.
Absolutely is. We'd like to welcome everybody who came over from the debut of the brand new Medieval Racing Series. Hope you guys enjoyed that event. Came back just in time to catch the final 2 laps, 22 laps, now 21, of the Musket 250 for the Major Series American Sportsman division right here on ESPN. Spencer Todd has jumped up into the second position as Brian Halleck, I think, has disconnected.
Uh-oh.
There might have been a throughput for the 3 as Bryson Schutte now comes into pit road. Spencer Todd will follow. So the leaders now all coming in. Michael Broomhead does the same with 20 laps to go, and the man who we thought was going to give them the biggest challenge may have just throughputed.
That is huge and also terrible for driver Brian Halleck out of the Georgia region. If you look at some of the settings here, like I'm looking at, it does look like he has in fact throughputed. So,
oh no,
terrible there for Brian Halleck because he has not reappeared at all.
This broadcast has been going on for nearly 3 hours. We are at 2 hours and 51 minutes here on the broadcast. And, I mean, that is one heck of a time to end it. As we're looking at the race leader right now, Ethan Osowski currently leading this race. Now, Osowski has had an absolutely miserable second half to this race, based off of how the first half ended. Remember, he was running in third when he and Jason Mink collided after Mink had got sent into the corner by Spencer Todd. That sent Osowski around and relegated him all the way back to 19th by the end of the first 125 laps. He has worked his way back up into 6th and is now currently leading this second half of the race here tonight. Wondering when he's going to pull it into pit road. It's going to be now.
That it is. Osowski was, he was riding in 6th position for the longest time. Just could never get any kind of a good run towards the leaders. And as soon as he assumes the race lead, his teammate who was running in the race lead, throughputs, Halleck and Scribner have both reconnected to the server, but I guess a little too late for an unlucky break for both of those guys. But I guess that was the miracle in disguise for drivers the likes of Bryson Schutte, Ozzie Milwane, and other guys such as that. But it's a terrible situation there as well.
Unfortunately, it will not be a miracle. I'm looking through timing and scoring right now. I was wondering what happened with Bryson Schutte because he should have come out right around where Spencer Todd is right now in the 9th position. Bryson Schutte, too fast entering, held in his box for 40 seconds. As the caution comes out, it's going to be Greg McEnany in the 350 around, and that might have just saved Bryson Schutte.
Not only will it do that, but that's going to shake things up a lot here as well.
There's not a lot of time left, and a lot of drivers caught multiple laps down. Jeremy Morrison has the race lead right now, and only 6 cars are being shown on the lead lap. Jeremy Morrison, Maurice Gamillion, Robert Deloche, Daniel Davis, Greg McEnany, and Chris Sherburne. Now, there are going to be a plethora of guys that are going to be taking waiver rounds here, but they will all start behind those 6 that I just named.
And as you say that, when we get back going, there's only going to be 13, maybe 12 laps remaining. So this might just very well be the plot twist that we were looking for to make this race even more interesting than it already was.
So while they take the pit stops, there is what happened to Greg McEnany battling with the 69 of Matt Gelder, who had just come out of pit road. And that is the cause for the first caution since the one that came out back on lap 34 of the first half of this event. Morrison down and away, and we've seen it is very difficult to pass at this racetrack. It takes a good 3 or 4 laps with cars at even pace to get a pass done. This might have just fallen right into the hands of guys like Morrison, Davis, and Gamillion.
That's exactly right. I was thinking the exact same thing as they came down pit road. It lines up perfectly for, say, your top 3 or 4 that are going to restart here on about lap 114. So, oh man, what a shakeup we've had in the action here. I couldn't have called it if you'd asked me 30 minutes ago what was going to happen. I couldn't have called it. So, man, oh man, what a night it's been.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been one heck of a night, and it has just taken one wild turn here this evening as we're getting set to go back to green flag racing here momentarily. Now, all of the cars that sit between the pace car and the 75 are all about to get waiver rounds here. And Bryson Schutte is going to be one of the cars that will receive one of the waiver rounds. However, due to that pit road speeding penalty, he will still be 1 lap down to the field.
That he will, but like you said, Ozzie Milwane, he'll be on the lead lap. Jacob Mink, who's been fast all night, he's back on the lead lap. Nathan Medina, who's been quick all night, back on the lead lap. So a lot of your fast guys are back on the lead lap, but they are restarting in the very, very back of the pack. So this one's going to be a mean drive to the front for some of these guys.
It certainly is, as these guys now start working their way around. The wave around cars getting their wave arounds now, and they should be up to full song by the time the leader takes the green flag here. We are going to have just over 10 laps to go to get this sorted out. Jeremy Morrison, Daniel Davis, Maurice Gamillion, and Robert Deloche, the first 2 rows here for the final 11 laps. Pace car is off. Green flag is in the air. Half the field still not up, and we are back racing with 11 to go.
Well, you see here some Ford's racing teammates, Gamillion and Davis, are starting to emerge in the top three. They've got one more back there with them. That's Robert Deloche in the 120 and the 235 machine. Next car back riding in fifth, that's Chris Sherburne. So a lot of guys you haven't seen up at the front are there now battling it out for a win as the tables have turned here. But still, let's see here. Morrison is being now pressured by the 44 of Gamillion as we go into turn number one.
Ozzie Milwane, we're highlighting him right now in the 114. Now, Ozzie Milwane came into pit under the green flag, got caught a lap down, did not take the wave around. He came into pit as well on lap 111. So Milwane stays a lap down to the rest of the field, and going back now up to the front with 9 laps to go. Gamillion and Morrison. Here comes Gamillion looking to the inside going into turn number one. Daniel Davis drove it in really deep. That will allow his teammate Robert Deloche around and through. That will now move. That is Ozzie Milwane. Again, that's not for position. Chris Sherburne, the fifth place driver, and the man who brought out the most recent caution, Greg McEnany, currently sitting in the sixth position.
Like you said, Milwane trying to get a lap back the old-fashioned way here, as he is gaining now on the 235 of Robert Deloche. Back up front, still a bit of a battle there. Gamillion to the inside of the 75. He's got the inside advantage here, but it's going to take him some time to get around Jeremy Morrison as they continue neck and neck into turns 3 and 4. Now clears the 75 coming off of the corner.
And this is why you stay out as long as you possibly can. We were nowhere remotely near talking about Maurice Gamillion, Jeremy Morrison, and Robert Deloche winning this race, but that is where we're at right now. Maurice Gamillion now currently leading with 7 laps to go. Jeremy Morrison in second, right behind him. Robert Deloche just off the back end of him. Ozzie Milwane is the fourth car in line, but the fourth car in position is Daniel Davis in that 333. It was Evolve SimSport Academy up at the front. Now it's a swarm of Forge cars up at the front.
That's exactly right. You see Milwane there. Remember, that's not for position. He's just trying to get a lap back. Morrison trying to hold down second. Oh,
somebody got in the wall there. I think it was the 70 of Brian Scrivener. Got into the wall and really scattered that group. Scrivener running in the 22nd position, 8 laps down at the moment. After he and Brian Halleck both throughput at the same time, I believe. As we look back up to the front now, Maurice Gamillion starting to run away from Jeremy Morrison. Morrison now under pressure from Robert Deloche in the 235.
that is. Morrison's been under pressure since the drop of the green flag here for this last segment. Unfortunately, wasn't able to keep down the race lead. Now doing all he can to stick to the bottom of the racetrack and keep that 235 machine of Deloche behind him. You see the 114 right there of Milwane trying to battle around both of them and get a lap back. Milwane saying his prayers right now for a caution to wave once again. But on lap 122 here, it's not looking likely as we are coming down to the absolute nitty-gritty of this thing.
I'm not expecting that there are green-white checkers here in this particular race. As, boy, the 333 of Daniel Davis gave Ozzie Milwane a shot going into turn number one. Spencer Todd has brought it into pit road in the 318. Now, Todd was one of the drivers that did get their wave around under the last caution. Morrison and Deloche now through 3 and 4, coming to 2 laps to go. Deloche has the outside line. They're up and over. Goes Deloche. And Deloche has somersaulted all the way into the far left side of pit road.
Let's take a look at that one again.
Absolutely.
Pulls out his best gymnastics moves from turn 4 to pit road in the blink of an eye. Sky ground the whole way for Robert Deloche there.
Oh,
And
it's gonna be way too far back on that one. That would have been the pass for the lead. We'll search and we'll find that replay. And there are no green-white checkers here, so that will end it. Forge Racing comes out of this 1, 2, 3. Maurice Gamillion will take his first win of the season. Daniel Davis second. Greg McEnany coming home in third on what has been a wild night here at New Hampshire. Unfortunately, it will end behind the safety car. And as it circulates around turns 3 and 4, it will be Maurice Gamillion taking his first win of the season. The Musket 250 is his.
congratulations to Maurice Gamillion. I mean, for the last 10 laps there, he ran a fantastic race after making a pass for the lead against that number 75 car. So no fault of his own there. Gamillion ran a fantastic race to finish it. Daniel Davis and Greg McEnany, like you said, Forge Racing top 3, a complete opposite of what we saw earlier in the night.
Yep, the first half of this 125 was all Evolve Sim Sport. And at the end of the night, it is Forge Racing that has taken both ends of this 150 split. Brian Halleck winning the first half. Gamillion winning the second half, or at least that's what I'm expecting. I'm not... Are they... I think they're going to... No, they're not.
I believe they're coming to the checkered here.
Yeah, though they took the checkered last time around, but they've all stayed out here. It's showing the race is over.
Yes.
So unless they're going to do like a manual green-white checkered, I cannot see that happening.
I believe the race is in fact over. As scoring or anything, it hasn't updated. So the race should be over with Gamillion, Davis making it in your top 3 still. I mean, Chris Sherburne, he was right there too in the thick of things at the end of the race as well.
Yep, so here they now all come in. They all take one extra lap. And Maurice Gamillion now can burn it down after getting his first win of the season. The 20-year-old out of D.C. takes round number 4 of the Major Series American Sportsman Division. And what a night it has been. What a long night it has been here at New Hampshire. We'll now go back and take a look at what happened. We'll go overhead as, boy, the 75 just squeezed Deloche, and Deloche just went for the ride. Let's take a look in-car riding on board now with Deloche. And what was that you said before? Sky ground, sky ground?
Sky ground, baby. That's all he saw.
Yep, it certainly was. And you just took that same ride with him. We'll now take a look at that from Morrison's point of view. And Morrison, not that he did anything wrong there. It's just that he just slid up too far. Just took his corner exit up a little too far. So as we get set to get these interviews done here, we only have one driver available for interviews right now. We'll try to get the other 2 in here as we try to work this. and was it Davis, right? Finished in.
That's right. Daniel Davis and Maurice Gomillion were your other top two finishers. As Gomillion came across first. Some call it luck, some call it skill, but Gomillion absolutely earned his win here tonight.
Oh, he certainly did, and he had a very good car here tonight, and from what it looks like, I guess what we'll do here is we'll start with Greg McEnany here, who is our third place finisher tonight. We will then go to Brian Halleck, who won the first half of this 250. And then after that, we will see if we have the top two from this race available for interviews. But for right now, Ryan, you are with our third place finisher here tonight, Greg McEnany.
Well, that's exactly right down here trackside with your third place finisher, Mr. Greg McEnany. Greg, weird finish to that one, man, but you come home in third. I mean, give me some of your thoughts. What were you seeing out there on the racetrack? How was the ride to get to Forge Motorsports top three?
I definitely did not expect that. That long green flag run, everyone was just running ragged on their tires, and I feel horrible that it was actually my caution that brought out the yellow that allowed everyone to pit. It kind of pinned everyone a lap down. I'll have to watch the replay on that. I don't know if that was my fault or someone else's, but yeah, wow.
Wow. I mean, wow is a word. I mean, you were able to go from, unfortunately, being involved in the caution to third place finishing. I mean, a caution to end this thing. I know you guys were hoping for a green-white checkered of sorts, but no green-white checkered allows you all to go third. And I mean, you went in that last 125 lap segment from 17th to third. I mean, you've got to feel pretty good about your run now that it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think what it came down to is there was probably in like 10th or 11th position. There was a big spin, but no yellow came out, and I was able to go around the side, just stomp on the gas, and that pushed me back up into around 10th around the Howland Motorsports guys, and I just tried to get around them the entire time, and then the caution came to me, I guess.
Well, we look from here in New Hampshire. The next race out for this series is going to be something much different. You go to the Nürburgring, and do you find yourself more comfortable on a track like this that's a straightforward oval, or will you be more comfortable behind the wheel on a big, gigantic road course?
Honestly, I feel like I'm probably the most amateur person on our team, but our oval setup team, especially Matt Thunhorst, is just amazing. He probably put 20, 25 hours into the setup, and it was really good. I know at any oval I have a chance because of his work. Nürburgring, I'm excited to get back to that. I kind of screwed up our team's chances in the 24-hour, so I want a little retribution from that just because I made a huge mistake last time around.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're definitely going to have a chance to get some redemption at the Nürburgring coming up next month. Before we let you get going here tonight and celebrating with your teammates, who would you like to thank on the car? Who would you like to thank on the car first, buddy? Oh, all right. Guess he didn't want to thank anybody here. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Frank Marchese as he gets a word with, I believe, Brian Halleck.
Yeah, we will. Actually, we did get the rest of the top three in, so we will.
That'll work.
We will get that, and I'm sure we're going to be interviewing 4 Forge Racing drivers tonight. So I'm pretty sure anyone who Greg was going to thank, I'm sure we're going to get the rundown here. We'll go down to our second place finisher, Daniel Davis. You had quite a sight appear in front of you coming out of that final quarter. What was your thoughts when you saw those two go flying?
Well, the first thing I thought it was my teammate, so I was like, "Oh no, Rob!" And then I said, "Oh, second." This is my first top 5 with the majors, and I am elated. I am like a kid in a candy store right now. Just being that close to a win. Crazy. I loved it. Fun time.
Yes, certainly. Quite interesting how the second race we saw by far and away the longest green flag run of the night, roughly in the 75 lap range. How was the car and how close were you to pitting when that caution came out?
I still had about 7 laps to go. The car was great the whole time. The first race, I didn't even take tires. I just grabbed some gas anytime a caution came out until I knew I could make it to the end. And had a little trouble this race, but yeah, car felt great though. We great setup this week by Matthew, our setup guy here in our team.
Going into the next race, we now move off of the ovals again. We go to another long road course, the full Nürburgring, coming up on the 2nd of May. Any thought on what car you might be taking for that race? And what are your thoughts going into the Green Hell?
I haven't decided yet. I want to play with the McLaren. I just picked it up, so probably give that a shot. See how that.
It's a beautiful car, I will say.
Yeah. Nürburgring. It's kind of touch and go with me on that one. So I can't say how I'm gonna feel about that one, to be honest.
All right. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate with the rest of your team?
Thank the team, of course. Mark, Rob, again, Matthew. That awesome setup. The whole team. Thanks everybody.
All right, your second place finisher here tonight for the Musket 250, Daniel Davis. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
And with that, Ryan, you now have the pleasure of interviewing our shock race winner here tonight, Maurice Camilio.
Man, Maurice, it was an interesting way to win that one there, man. I mean, all of a sudden you find yourself in the lead with about 15 to go, and it comes out, man. Take me through your mindset those last 10 or so laps. I mean, was it just all about staying out front for you there? Or, man, what were you thinking to even get there in the first place the way you did?
Well, I was fortunate to actually have enough fuel to run a few extra laps, but I had to come into the pits to get fuel to make it to the end. So I had to make a pit stop. So I had to come in anyway. So that caution just came out at the right time. So it benefited me greatly, like tremendously. So I just came in, got 2 tires, and put enough fuel in it to get to the end.
Well, I mean, at the end there, we saw a battle between you and Jeremy Morrison, who ended up being the end all be all there, the caution at the very end. Did you happen to catch any of the final caution in your rearview mirror or down the front straightaway there?
Nah, that was so focused. I didn't see it.
Man, I believe it. I mean, it was one car go careening, one car went flipping, and luckily for you, you were way out in front of it by then. I mean, all in all, an incredible race. I mean, tell me this, from the first session, the first 125 laps to the end of the second one, how much did the track change, and what changed as far as you driving the car to get her there?
Kind of hot. I guess the track temperatures were a little hotter in the first stint, I guess, that we had. So it became a little easier to drive, but I just kind of paced myself as much as I possibly could for the second stint or second heat. But it was definitely a little bit better on the tires. And I think when I came into the pits, I needed to get tires because I was pretty much worn out. So it felt pretty good in the second heat.
All right. Well, moving forward from here, going into the Nürburgring next month, how are you planning on using this momentum to establish yourself as one of those front runners in this series and contend for another win?
Well, I have to give credit to my teammates. They have put in a lot of time and effort to help us, improve ourselves and make sure everyone is doing, the best we can in each race. So I definitely rely on them as much as I can. I try to help as much as possible, but if my teammates definitely gave me this win, and like I said, I have to dedicate this one also to Brian. He was probably our fastest guy, and he had a issue with his internet connection, so he kind of blinked out, and he probably could have won this race if he would have stayed connected. But like I said, I mainly give credit to my teammates.
Well, I don't blame you there, as your team is full of amazing sim racing drivers. Again, top three for Forge Racing. Before we let you get going here and celebrating your big victory, who else would you like to thank on the race car tonight?
Well, basically my, like I said before, my teammates
Mm-hmm.
are pretty much the backbone of what I'm able to do here. I guess my family, I guess whoever's watching, all the fans that we have, all the spectators, Rethread Clothing. We have a few sponsors on the cars, so I want to give credit to them as well.
All right. Well, Maurice, once again, congratulations. Doesn't matter how you got it. You are a winner here in the Majors Series. So congratulations once again. We'll hopefully see you in about a month at the Nürburgring.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So that is your overall winner here tonight, Maurice Gamillion. I will now bring in the first 125 winner. That would be Brian Halleck. And Brian, I'm sure bittersweet here tonight. You were able to take the first heat of the night here, and then just as you put it in the Discord chat there, running down the leader, running in second, and then poof.
Yeah, first excellent result from our team with the podium sweep, and I'm sure you've heard the same thanks and the shout outs. But yeah, never had a disconnect like that before. I felt like it was my race to lose, and I was chasing that dude down and disconnect. Not sure. A couple of the guys were saying the same thing, though, so I don't feel all alone.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why, completely unrelated, that Sim Race Stitch Alpha Series is going to be running at Homestead this week. But anyway, getting back to this, what was the difference? We just heard Maurice talking about a little bit difference in track temperature from the first heat to the second heat, or the second half rather. Did that affect your car at all? Because you were certainly really quick on the night, took pole, led a majority of the first half, and here you pretty much seem to be more of the same.
Yeah, it was hard to tell if track temp helped. I know it was lower, so it was better traction, but I felt like the story in the second race, at least for speed goes, is we were on those tires a very long time from the beginning of the race, like 80, 90 laps, in a very long time, and until that caution came out. Yeah, the invert was interesting. There was a lot of slicing and dicing at the beginning, but we kind of got settled down, and all of us were just screaming for tires. So a lot of that part of the race, 50, 60, 70 laps in, it was tough driving. Honestly, I didn't notice the temperature. I know it was lower as it was cooling, but boy, that's a lot of laps on the tires. So yeah, we had good strategy call. We were all in sync. Bad luck here and there for different guys, but I think all in all, it was a fun race, to be honest. And yeah.
It absolutely was a fantastic night here tonight. One quick question before we look ahead to next time out. Caution came out on lap 110. Would you have been able to make it to that caution, or would you have been stuck in the same boat as the Evolve cars, having to pit a couple laps early?
No, I was with the Forge guys. We took a little extra fuel, and if you'll notice, like I was P2 when we pitted lap 30, and then I cycled back to P8, and a couple of the other guys were in the teens.
Mm-hmm.
We took a little extra fuel. like 6 gallons, I want to say. We still needed more to the end of the race for sure, but I didn't see the caution because I was cycling through my disconnect. But I wasn't on the same it's seeming cycle with the Evolve guys because they all left the pits well before us, like 10 or 20 seconds, and we had another gallon or two. So, we were hoping for a caution, and we were able to hang out there a lot longer. And as people cycle through, things happen, and caution flew at the right time, I guess.
It was the third place finisher, McEnany, who was the one that brought out that caution on 110. Going into next race, it's going to be the 2.4 hours at the Nürburgring. It's a very difficult, demanding racetrack that requires 110% attention at all times. Have you decided on a car yet? What are your thoughts going into the second 2.4 hour event of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's not a car and track combo that I'm particularly keen on. As you said, super difficult, right? I was very fast here, and I was excited for these types of races, but Nürburgring is going to be difficult. I tend to go for the slower class. I feel like it's a little less populated, and I can do my thing back there and still score points at the same level as the other classes. But that would be the Audi TCR. But haven't picked. There might be some, watching what others do, but that's kind of what I'm gravitating towards right now.
All right. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate a team victory tonight and your first half victory?
Yeah, appreciate that. No, yeah, that's one reason I wanted to pop in here. If you guys would have me from the first races, we had a hell of a setup, quite honestly. Matt Dunhorse on our pro team worked his ass off, and honestly, more than that, he coached us. Like, he and I were on nights, and he was helping me, made me faster, and not even that, but just gave me confidence, and you can do it type of thing. So shout out to him. And then our sponsors, Rethread Clothing Company. They make cool hats and shirts. Check them out. And of course, Major's Garage. Very good setups in their own right, and it will definitely be using it at the Nürburgring. So thanks to them.
All right, there is your first half winner. Unfortunately, finishing 20th here in the second half after a disconnect. Brian Halleck, congratulations on your overall night, bud.
Appreciate it, guys. See you next time.
So that will do it for the interview portion here of this evening. And before we get to the results, Ryan, this was one hell of a night. This series put on one great race. These Whelen modified cars are always really fun to watch, and tonight was certainly no different.
Oh, you are absolutely right. I mean, I had an absolute blast up here in the booth with you, as I always do. But I mean, it was long, but like I said, I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys watching at home had a lot of fun as well. Weird way for it to end, but as we've seen from this series time and time again, crazy things happen, and the winners are just so happy to be in victory lane every time they get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we will now go to the final results here for tonight's race. Maurice Gamillion comes away with the big win here tonight for the Musket 250. Daniel Davis and Greg McEnany, Forge Racing Sport 1, 1, and 2 on the podium. Chris Sherburne and Stephen Paulison for Sector 5 round out the top 5. Jacob Mink, Joey Haynes, Nathan Medina, Justin Garrick, and Jeremy Morrison round out the top 10. Robert Deloche and Ozzie Milwane coming home in 11th and 12th, rounding out the top half of the field. Milwane, the first of the cars, a lap down, again deciding to pit under a caution that he could have taken the wave around and finished on the lead lap. However, he is going to finish the first car a lap down in the 12th position. Ethan Osowski comes home in 13th. Jason McSparron and Matt Gelder, who was the pole sitter for this second half of this race tonight, rounds out 15th. Bryson Schutte, again coming into pit road from the race lead, got a pit road speeding penalty that stuck him 2 laps down. He will finish in 16th. Spencer Todd, Michael Broomhead, both having issues as well. Those guys finishing in 17th and 18th. Gerard Gilbert and Brian Halleck finishing 19th and 20th. Robert Covey, Brian Scrivener, Rob Courtney, and then our one and only retirement of the evening here tonight, David Gargaro Jr., coming home in the 24th and final position here tonight. Coming up on ESPN over the course of these next couple of days, tomorrow night will be the Rowdy Energy Cup Series from Martinsville Speedway. That will be at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Then a double dip on Tuesday night will be the MX5 Pro Series for UK Sim Racing. They will be at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That will start at 2:50 p.m. Eastern Time with Jake Sperry and James Whitehouse in the booth for that one. The nightcap for Tuesday night will be the Western States Racing League at Homestead Miami Speedway, round 13 of their season. You can catch Ryan and Ben Bruno in the booth for that race starting at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Another double dip coming up on Wednesday night will be the Endurance for Beginners Series, round number 2 at Silverstone. That will be at 8:25 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Wednesday night will be the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, the continuation of the Miami Gardens 300 at Homestead after it was postponed a couple of weeks ago. On Thursday night will be the DOB, both the 410 Sprint Car and the Big Block Modified Series. The 410s will be at Limaland and the Big Blocks will be at Cedar Lake as that season starts to wind down to a close. And then on Sunday night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, will be the Medieval Racing League as they open up their season with the Daytona 500 in the Gen 6 2013 Chevrolet SS from Daytona. I'd like to thank you all very much for helping us hit a milestone tonight. In the middle of the broadcast, we hit 1,500 subscribers, a milestone that we've been trying to get to for the last several months, so we certainly do appreciate that. And now that all of the network business is out of the way, we get to a little bit of personal business with me. My current condition has gone downhill lately, and I want to get it sorted before and I will be doing Sim Racers Edge on Wednesday nights, but beyond that, I am severely cutting my schedule back so I can take care of my mental health, which has been really slipping as of late. So I thank you all very much for watching the broadcast. I thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. And thank you all for getting us to 1,500 subscribers here tonight. So until May 2nd, good night. And I will see you all this Wednesday night for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. Good night, everybody.